Let's war rolling at the start. We here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas up, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Draw open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar openers podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas up, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas thugged, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.
And we're live. What's up, Ben? How you doing? How's your day going?
We've been winning. We have been winning. All day we have been winning. My day's been going pretty good. Worked all day. But I was distracted by the fact that our tariffs lasted, less than a week? What we wanted.
Right.
Seeing things like the Department of Education calling for that to be removed, defunded, eliminated. And what else did we have as big on the slate? Obviously, the USAID stuff as well, too. I think I'm missing something. One thing I think we have unresolved still is the EU tariff stuff. But
yeah, I was going to say the Trump tariffs on the EU, yeah. Excuse me. Coughing again today, but I think it's a good sign this time. Hey, what's up, Steve? Glad to see you're back. Appreciate that you loved the show last time. We got a lot to dig into, really. There's just so much coming out. The information is coming out super fast, as you might have seen from my title, that Ron Paul just made a statement, and it's on camera, so we're going to get into that. It's a 5-minute long statement, and shortened up by simply said, audit USAID, then shut it down. We'll play the video here in a little bit to let you guys know more in depth what he said.
It's a massive compliment right there. All companions said jar openers greater than JRE.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. What's the right word for
that? Greater than?
Honored.
Yeah, honored. Yeah.
Flattered. That's what I was
flattered. Yeah, flattered.
Let me give you 10 more words if I find the right one.
Appreciate the thought. Appreciate it. What's up, just me? What's up, Alt Companion, TNT, Steve? Anybody else that's here that's not in chat? Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Just BS here for a minute. Let folks filter in, and then we'll get into this. You're not going to want to miss this beginning statement here from Ron Paul. I only played part of it because like I said, it just came out, and I didn't have the full 5 minutes to listen to the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to hearing it in its entirety. You got just post after post of people being exposed as benefiting from this USAID thing. And even we have a statement from the new House, not Speaker, Press Secretary, Carolyn Levitt.
Yeah, and one thing I didn't add, but we can probably just rip it off the top. I saw this was confirmed by the Daily Wire. I know everybody knows their opinion about Daily Wire, but confirmed that 97% of political donations that came from people who worked with or for USAID went to Democrats. 97%.
Figures, right? Go figure.
Right. It tells you something about who is holding down those positions and who is working in those positions.
For real. Thank you, TNT, for signing up for that 3rd consecutive month of membership. Much appreciated, my friend.
Yeah, massive there. Thanks,
Oh,
TNT.
followed up with a $10 super chat. TNT's on fire tonight. All the winning across the MAGA pond is nice, isn't it? It's gonna take some getting used to, but you know what? I'll adjust. We'll adjust. I saw a cool post earlier where I think it was from Clint Russell. He's like, Donald Trump promised A, B, C, and D, and within 2 weeks he's delivered A, B, C, and D. I've never seen anything like this before, and it's just amazing. I'm loving it. What's up, Marble? What's up, Donnie? What's up, House? Good to see everybody.
Well, so much so, and I don't know if you saw the Tucker Carlson Piers Morgan interview, but there was even a portion in there where Piers Morgan had said, he had to even admit what Trump had been doing in just the first couple of days. He wished somebody would do in the UK. Now, I know he disagrees politically, but he was just saying like the energy behind that, getting things done in such a short frame of time. And then I, relate to one of those other viral posts where somebody was like, what was Biden even doing during his administration? Like, imagine seeing all this happen. And it's just a drop in the sand compared to what we have ready for us in the future for this. Meanwhile, Biden admin, all they can, do is destroy things, burn things to the ground, and do nothing. Hide from the press, sit in your basement, all that jazz. So it's good. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. See, we got some salty fans in here. The salt must flow. I love it. Salty cracks me up. I actually caught a big portion of his show last night. What's up, Evil Elmo?
I thought about adding one of these liberal meltdowns into the show, but it was so cringe. Like a 30-second crying video.
Yeah.
I had been there and I was like, nah, it's so cringe. We're winning too much. I don't want to see any of that garbage.
What's funny is now every time I see a video of somebody crying, I think of that Candace Owens little thing we played last week or last show where she's like, let me make sure I got my phone out and open my Instagram. Oh, just crying.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm live. Okay, I'm live now. She's making fun of Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
It was great. I love it.
No,
Well,
it's good.
I think we got enough people in here. Let's go ahead and let's just start right off with this Ron Paul thing. I'm excited to watch this in its entirety because I like Ron Paul.
Yeah, I'm glad he's still with us for as old as he is.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, you know what? I didn't even add that. A second, I got to share my screen.
Curious if he's going to end up a part of Doge. I don't know if that's been a confirmed thing or not. They've hinted at it, but I've not seen anything for sure.
They did hint into that before Trump was inaugurated, didn't they? I'm going to play just a snippet. Let me know if it's echoing. We started off last show and it changed some of my settings, and it might have defaulted back. So let me know real quick, and then I'll restart it.
Hello, everybody, and thank
We're
you
good.
for tuning in.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. Crank that volume up and just let this one rip.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the weekly report. Audit USAID, then shut it down. As of this writing, when you attempt to access the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID website or social media pages, you are informed that this site can't be reached. The media reports that the new Trump administration has not only frozen USAID activities, but may be planning on bringing it back under control of the U.S. State Department. Other reports, including statements by Elon Musk, suggest that it will be closed completely. If true, the closing of USAID may be one of the most significant changes President Trump has made among the many dramatic actions in his first couple of weeks in office. Many Americans may still have the idea that USAID is a government agency delivering relief at disaster site overseas. They may still remember the bags of rice or grain with the USAID logo on them, but that is not USAID. USAID is a key component of the U.S. government's regime change operations worldwide. USAID spends billions of dollars every year propping up NGOs overseas that function as shadow governments, eating away at elected governments that the U.S. interventionists want to overthrow. Behind most U.S. foreign policy disasters overseas, you will see the fingerprints of USAID. From Ukraine to Georgia and far beyond, USAID is meddling in the internal affairs of foreign countries, something that would infuriate Americans if it was happening to us. When President Trump ordered a 90-day pause in USAID activities, we quickly learned just how pernicious the agency really is. The U.S. media reported that Ukrainian press outlets were scrambling to keep their doors open when the U.S. dollar stopped flowing. It is reported that 90% of the media outlets are funded by the U.S. government. This means that there is virtually no independent media in Ukraine, only fake news outlets willing to toe the U.S. administration's propaganda line. Does anyone think these wholly U.S.-funded news outlets would ever publish a story that the U.S. government did not want published? This is plainly immoral, but it is also dangerous. Most U.S. mainstream media stories about Ukraine have their origin in the reporting of the local media. From battlefield news to casualties to the state of the Ukrainian military, the news from Ukraine is being written by U.S. government-backed media outlets and then picked up by U.S. and other Western media. It is a closed propaganda loop that not only propagandizes the U.S. citizens but also feeds false information into U.S. government outlets, such as Congress, that rely on mainstream U.S. media reporting for their news on Ukraine. No wonder so many in Washington continue to support this hopeless war. But USAID is not just the business of disinformation. Elon Musk recently reported a New York Post article on X reporting that USAID bundled $53 million to Echo Health Alliance to support gain-of-function research on coronavirus at the Wuhan lab. Did USAID help fund COVID? Americans have a right to know. In natural catastrophes overseas, Americans have shown themselves to be extremely generous. Private volunteer assistance organizations can most effectively assist victims of disasters worldwide. USAID needs a full and transparent audit. Americans deserve to know exactly what is being done in their name. Then the agency needs to be shuttered completely and its employees sent home. That would go a long way toward making America great again. Thanks for listening.
Well, thanks
Really
for
good stuff,
speaking.
man.
Glad to hear that he's still around and willing to speak on these type of things. So much in there, it's crazy. One of the things that TNT mentioned was something that I didn't actually put in the outline, but I did notice it. He said, "I'm confused where all this effing money is going. Between the $100 billion missing from Ukraine and all the money laundered through USAID, we need to get a wood." Okay, I'm not gonna say the rest, but you get it.
Well, a couple of things there. I'm curious how I know they did a lot of blanket pardons with Joe Biden, with Dr. Fauci and such. I'm not sure how much that entails with an organization. I doubt that it does, but $53 million is still no small amount. Funding EcoHealth for gain of function research, which has been outlawed for some time. They just kind of do some definitional changes, reword things. So it's like we're not actually involved with it. So they fund the outside organizations that take part in it too. People need to go to jail for that. I mean, not even jail. People need to go to prison. People probably honestly need to be. What TNT said on his comment earlier there, I'll refrain from saying it. But
Right.
that's what we need. That's the kind of retribution that's required for something along those lines.
Yep. Yeah, Layman Shepherd, you can't call for violence against people, even if it's written in the law, like results of something. Yeah, just leave it at that, I guess. I've seen it
Right.
on some other shows, and it's just it's immediately taken down. You got to be super careful. So, yeah, we all know. We all know.
Well, one thing Kitty pointed out too that's not talked about enough is that closed loop propaganda machine. A lot of people really don't realize just how many intelligence agency operatives work in these large news rooms, such as WAPO, New York Times. It gets proven time and time again that this person was a 20-year-old CIA agent now turned office room manager for some newsroom. But even in a smaller example, a more recent example, one thing that kind of blew my mind was when I was listening to, I'm going to butcher his name, but Lieutenant Colonel McGregor, might have gotten his name wrong, but he was talking about how they are finally starting to slowly begin producing the numbers of the casualties of just the Ukraine Russia conflict. I believe this was also brought up on Tucker and Piers Morgan as well, but somewhere in the realm of over 1 million Ukrainian men now total dead. You have about
Mm-hmm.
200,000 Russians who dead. I believe they also brought up a portion of time. It was around 250,000 within a 2-week period had been killed. It's like a very like high ramp up in the violence that had happened between both sides. But the media has been hiding this stuff because you get these numbers out into the public. People then begin questioning their support. So ultimately, there needs to be some level of responsibility, accountability held for all of these major news establishments that pick and choose and decide, like how Ron labeled it, these closed propaganda loops where
Yeah.
you can't get in unless you have some kind of bias or you're willing to bring in the establishment narrative. And that's why you see these news people shriek when Donald Trump threatens things such as these individuals need to go to jail. Like these news corporations need broken up. And he threatens any sort of retribution or kind of lawfare against them. And that's what we need.
Yeah, definitely. And it's even contrary. You mentioned that they're not even bringing this stuff up. They're even going so far as to tell us that over 1 million Russian soldiers have died in this, and they want to project that the Ukrainian side is doing much better than they really are. You know what I mean? And then we see these numbers, these more recent updated numbers that seem to be actually more accurate, all coming out of the fog of war. So who knows? It's propaganda, but just can't hardly trust. You can't trust anything, right? You read on page 1 the news story, it's fake, it's false and provable, but then we go ahead and turn to page 2 and see what's in the news. It's it's a shaky game, right?
Yeah. And I think I misspoke. House said he's a full colonel, so I apologize. I must have gotten the rank wrong. But Colonel McGregor, he's a phenomenal speaker on a lot of these issues. And not even to bury the lead too with the USAID stuff. We're about to bring it up here on screen. People have a good idea, especially in the right wing, of the endless wars and that kind of nation building, but they see that in the sense of the infrastructure. Like we're blowing up all their stuff to put bases and make them be Americanized. Well,
Right.
USAID, if you can see it on screen that you just put on screen there, this is like the Western Global Homo Jihad building, which is 2.5 million to DEI in Serbia, an Irish DEI musical. I mean, you look 30,000 for a trans comic book in Peru. Like USAID was built and set up as a way to funnel money to gayify all of these other areas and bring in this kind of warped, corrupted Western civilization, what we have currently, to other places. So the endless wars build the infrastructure out, and then USAID comes in and proliferates it with their kind of idea of what American culture is.
Right. And then we even saw today, which I was going to mention, I started to mention, I trailed off. I think it was today, maybe yesterday, in the afternoon yesterday, Ukrainian President Zelensky admitted that they've gotten less than 100 billion of the almost 200 billion that we've sent to Ukraine in aid in Ukraine, and the Democrats are out here making excuses. I understand a lot of the missiles and a lot of the equipment and things like that they produce are produced in the United States. It's been a long-standing excuse from the Democrat Party that when we pass aid to fund Ukraine, it's actually creating U.S. jobs, but you know, that's so we're a bit aware that some of that money is being spent here, but that's kind of the point that we're standing against, is it's funding the military industrial complex. Um, it's like when you pay money to one of these charities and then you come to find out that only 5% is actually going to the cause and the rest goes towards administration fees and advertising and this and that and whatever. And it's just like, well, hold up. That's not what you sold. That's not the bill of goods that you sold me. You made me watch 6 minutes of starving African children or puppies that are emaciated and starving and asking for me to put food in their bowls. And now you're telling me only 5% is going towards the, $5 of that $100 that I just sent you is actually going towards food.
Right.
Get the hell out of here. But that's kind of the point, and that's what we've been calling out when it comes to this Russia thing. Not to mention, we know that they've been sending them like old military equipment and things like that with the tanks that they sent over there and some of that other stuff.
Well, so much of this points back to our large driver of what backs up the U.S. dollar, which is pointing guns at other people. This idea of America going from this isolationist state, which we're so many years away from now, but the American empire. And so I say that with a bitter taste in my mouth, because we see the winning here. We see what the kind of power can control when it comes to the tariffs and imposing our will on places like Mexico and Canada. But at the same time, we have the Republicans will decry the Ukrainian and Russian conflict, but then also clap when we sign what we did earlier today or speak towards, which was $1 billion arms deal for Israel. So at the same time, I'm ultimately still holding the position of I don't want conflict with anybody. And so there's still this kind of back and forth and speaking out of both sides of our mouths, when
Right.
really we can see there's this clear nepotistic deep state just willpower to ensure that we are involved somewhere, some part of this country, some part of the world, and we're bombing it, and they're making sure they're using ours to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you look at it in some way, and it's like maybe there's a fair trade-off financially in the terms of, on the most pragmatic sense, obviously with how much aid we've sent out, it's like, okay, now they're buying our stuff. Maybe we recoup some of that money by getting them to make such a large purchase. But at the end of the day, all of that stuff is being used to harm people. Like we're
Right.
still being this facilitator of it too. And one thing
Right.
that caught my attention with that too was in that arms deal, we're sending them armored bulldozers. I actually caught that like at the end of that, and it's like it's curious again what all this stuff is being its uses will be.
Right.
But, I hate it as a Christian. I hate that we are involved with such kind of stuff like that.
Right. I agree too. And Steve made a good point up here. Sometimes we just have to say the truth. America has been spreading Satanism. He followed up and said, I say this as one who loves this country, but the uncomfortable truth is a path to grow. 100%. Uncomfortable truth is 100% a path to growth. We grow through resistance. You know what I mean? It's like, think of it as like working out or building muscle. You don't become more muscular by sitting there, flexing. Well, I mean, I guess you can if you just flex your bicep over and over. You can actually gain muscle, but it's still the resistance that you need to actually grow.
Yeah, well, I would say one of the first steps, and I say this pretty often, you move from the left versus right paradigm to the good versus evil, the righteous versus satanic paradigm. Then you have a easier understanding. Like when you see your news, you're like less shocked by it. You're like, wait, the U.S. did what? And you're like, why would Republicans want that? So you don't think about it like that. You think, why do evil people want this? And it's a lot easier. It's like, oh, because they're evil. Oh, that's why we're having to battle with this stuff out. That makes a lot more sense. When you have to pair it with why are these crazy human beings want this stuff from these left-wing politician spots? It's like, nah, it's because their souls are captured by an evil entity, whether they realize it or not, and they're being used, whether willingly or not. They're doing these things and carrying them out because they want to destroy the destruction, the evil, the corruption, the debasement, all the stuff that comes with it.
Yeah. So, and then, you think back to when Trump was president the first time around, and he wanted to put Like there was some type of convention overseas, and he's like, "Look, I have Trump hotels over here, and I can save the U.S. government a bunch of money by giving them by allowing people to stay at cost." And the left freaked out, saying that it's bad form for the president to profit in any manner off of this type of thing. And then I can relate that to us spending that money with Lockheed or whatever it is, where we're building these things here in town or here in our own country, the military industrial complex, essentially. We're creating jobs, we're doing this and that, and is the excuse to, continually advance this war. And it's like I said, just liken it to that scenario with Trump, where it's like, so the military industrial complex can feed itself at the expense of the Americans, of American tax dollars and just whatever. There's the excuse that our tax dollars aren't what's actually funding it because they just print it in, that's a whole nother can of worms. But,
Right.
on the surface, if one thing was a conflict of interest and Trump can't do something even for America's best, best intentions in mind, then these other entities that are partnership with the government should get the same type of treatment. I don't know. It's just funny because the left is fine with one, and of course they're against the other.
Well, two things. The first thing, to your example, that story was insane because the way it was going to be laid out, doing it with the Trump Towers, would have been cheaper in the long run.
Yeah,
because a lot of what they produce is in house, like the food they make there, like the napkins, all those kind of smaller things they would have had to buy if they would have went elsewhere. They had to actually resupply with. And secondly, I think Tim Pool's example is the one that always sticks in my mind, which is trying to play chess or checkers or a board game, Monopoly, with someone who keeps flipping the table and stealing money out of the drawer. And you're expecting like they're going to play fair with you at any point. It's like when they do it, it's totally fine, right? Like when they do it, they feed themselves, they get kickbacks for all these disgusting things. Totally fine. They'll find any way to justify it. But the moment that you do it for even a slightly good reason, they're like, whoa, see what this guy's doing? Like he's trying to self-benefit himself. Look how selfish this is.
We're so concerned about Trump making a penny.
Right. Right. Worried about the absolutely wrong things. Even if we did make a penny, like who cares?
Right. Well, I mean, you can take that even further with, Trump and his kids had to separate themselves from all their businesses. Yet, Hunter Biden was the big guy's front man, and he moved into the White House eventually, was living there. He didn't separate himself from anything. Just the hypocrisy. TNT says, "What the hell is a transgender opera? It's a bunch of castrated dudes singing soprano, man."
All right, get ready for 20 minutes of it, TNT.
Now that you asked for it, got it right here. No, I'm just teasing about that. But let's listen to the new White House press secretary kind of laying it out exactly what the taxpayer money has been wasted on here.
You're watching live coverage.
Through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
That's right. And we've seen a lot of people, or I've seen a lot of people on X posting, we didn't elect Elon Musk to do this or that or whatever, and it's like, so many people are actually responding, well, I did. I elected him for that. Really funny.
No, right. Some of these memes are actually hilarious too.
Right.
I'm just glad, like, this is a win. Like, as much as there may be other things going on, all of this ultimately is net positive as it sits right now. We're continually building on these net positives.
Right.
Although I wish we would go a bit further in terms of like how much we are willing to accept, go a little bit further beyond that. I think there is some idea. I speak to that with the Supreme Court possibly taking up the Idaho challenge. and that is related to Obergefell, which that would be the homosexual marriage. Clarence Thomas has been very vocal about that since the Roe v. Wade getting sent back to the States. He's been very vocal about that, setting precedent for Obergefell to fall under that as well and send homosexual marriage back to the States too.
See, that's interesting. I haven't looked into this a whole lot. We've had it kind of on the agenda and not really gotten to it a whole lot. Do you want to dive into it, or do you want to kind of run through some of this USAID stuff? Because there's a lot of different people that have been exposed and things like
No,
that.
yeah. Well, that's pretty much it. It's not moved anywhere. I believe it's only even one chamber in Idaho that's kind of proposed this. That's kind of sat there for a while, but people clearly want it. It keeps making the rounds on social media. And with Clarence Thomas being the most based Supreme Court justice that we have, and him being the most vocal about it too, is a good sign that he would be very vocal in getting the Supreme Court to take it on in the first place.
Okay.
In terms of what it means culturally, though, I think the bigger story here is that now that we're winning, we're seeing less of this every 4 years, super basic incrementalism. And we could see an actual, not red wave in like the voting, but an actual red wave in influence, a red wave of conservatives feeling a lot more dignified and confident when they say, actually, no, you know what? I actually don't agree with that. And here's what we should do with legislation to get rid of it, instead of being the reactionary, which I think is the good offense, right? That's the offensive we've been speaking about. Instead of just waiting for the left to do something and us complaining about it, ultimately moving forward and then breaking down these things that we view to be outright evil,
taking ground back,
abominations.
Instead of slowing the left's progress, actually taking some ground back, right?
Right, exactly.
And then, so SCTNT mentioned, according to Grok, USAID's yearly budget for fiscal year 2025 is set at $42.8 billion for foreign assistance, which includes $28.3 billion for USAID fully and partially managed accounts. Interesting. So let's go back over here. One of the people that has been exposed as a USAID recipient is the Alexander Vindman. You might remember him. He was one of the people that was involved with, I don't know which one it was, but one of Trump's impeachment trials. He's a person that they like to quote and say that Trump didn't listen to his counsel and stuff like that. When why would you listen to somebody that outwardly and openly like disobeys and hates you? But report here, Alexander Vindman pitched $12 million scheme to profit off the Ukraine war funds. Let's see.
Just
here.
look at his photo, though.
Yeah, I know, right? This dude, he's a freaking looks like a penis without a little hat on.
I know what his favorite country is just by looking at it.
For real. Rachel Vindman says, whatever happens to my family, know this, no pardons were offered or discussed. I cannot begin to describe the level of betrayal and hurt I feel. You know, only guilty people need preemptive pardons. And I think that's something that we've learned from this whole Biden fiasco with all of his preemptive pardons. We have this video. We have this video here of Jim Jordan. Let's check this out. I haven't watched this, so let's see what Jim has to say. I like Jim because he's a wrestling coach. I grew up wrestling, so I think every kid should do it.
Former boss, Mr. Morrison, is going to be sitting right where you're sitting, and he's going to testify. And I want to give you a chance. I think we're bringing you a copy. I want to give you a chance to respond to some of the things Mr. Morrison said in his deposition, page 82 of the transcript from Mr. Morrison. Mr. Morrison said this: I had concerns about Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's judgment. Among the discussions I had with Dr. Hill in the transition was our team, its strength, its weaknesses, and Fiona and others had raised concerns about Alex's judgment. When Mr. Morris was asked by Mr. Castor, did anyone ever bring concerns to you that they believe Colonel Vindman may have leaked something? Mr. Morrison replied, yes. So your boss had concerns about your judgment. Your former boss, Dr. Hill, had concerns about your judgment. Your colleagues had concerns about your judgment, and your colleagues felt that there were times when you leaked information. Any idea why they have those impressions, Colonel Vindman? Former boss.
What a little Weasley wormy looking dude. Not Jim Jordan, Vindman.
So Jim Jordan, I've actually spoken with, I think, 5 different times in my life now.
Oh, cool.
So he was super involved at our school when I was younger. I don't think I've ever said this before, but I was an officer for an FFA chapter in high school. We won #1 in the nation 2 times in a row. Spoke to him a couple of times after that. Obviously huge. Agriculture is a big part of Ohio. But also with the place I used to work at, bartend, serve at, also did catering. Multiple times there was events there that were held by the Bellefontaine City Council or even bigger groups than that. I mean, Honda has its headquarters now in Marysville, I believe, and they would bring huge events over. Jim Jordan has been there multiple times. He's a bit smaller in person, which you would think he is, but he's a pretty cool guy. So I've met a couple of times, and he does give off that very stereotypical Republican kind of vibe.
Nice. It's funny. I wonder if we could find his height if we Googled it. Remember I mentioned Mike Johnson's height is not like searchable on Google. I want to ask chat, did anybody go and test me and try to find how tall Mike Johnson is? Because I mentioned I saw him in person when I was in DC. He came walking through the it's not the rotunda, but it's really similar to it. It's like a circular room with a bunch of statues. And he come walking through there, and I'm like, this dude is like shoulder height on me almost. And I'm like 5'8", 5'9" with my shoes on. And I didn't realize he was that short of a dude. And then I went and tried to Google it, and I could not find it. Like, pretty extensive search from my phone, I will mention, which I don't know if that matters if it's from the phone or from a desktop, but
I'm trying to find the answer on Grok right now.
I don't think they want. Yeah, I don't think they want people to know that he's a short little dude.
It says he's 6'2", but me and you both know that it's not true.
Yeah, he's definitely not. He's got Grok lying for him. He lying. Yeah. That was the first thing he did when he cozied up to Elon at that UFC fight when they were all rolling together. He's like, yo, man, when people ask Grok how tall I am, make sure it says I'm over 6 foot tall.
You got a bot farm just for them to tweet constantly 6'2". That way Grok is confused. Like, all these people are saying this.
That's funny. Donnie Brooks says we're being ruled by weak dorks and no one will call them what they are. Except for Donnie. Donnie will call them out. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's and another point to this too. What's crazy is,
I mean, at least needs to like have a scar on his face or something.
Right. But somebody else pointed this out, that the majority of White House aides, forgive me, are 20 and 30-year-old somethings. But it's a bunch of these cracked out liberal kids like David Hogg, the gun control, super crazy rad femmes. So that actually speaks a bit more to who's doing a lot of the legwork for these people. Because just like we see with these bills, you know that these guys don't look at this stuff. They probably depend on some 29-year-old female who they hired 6 months ago to give them a better idea of so they just know how to go ahead and vote. So there is a question of how much of the smaller handled stuff is being effectuated by all of these kind of crazy lunatic people who are there in politics.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading chat there. Let's see here. Rep Mike Johnson's politician, according to a tweet, he is 5'8". Take that for what it's worth. Man, I swear I was looking down on him. And like I said, I'm not like the tallest. I'll tell you how. I'll go jump on a scale right now. I think I weighed 194 pounds.
You got me beat. I'm like 240.
You know what? Here, we got the tape measure out right here. How tall am I? Oh, I'm just playing. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. But Donnie said, I'm with Worrell. I trust a man if I know he has done some kind of hand-to-hand combat. Yeah, I think like what it was, the old, maybe it was the German officers or some of the old school officers. I can't remember what country it was from, but they used to like do those like knife duels or something, and they all had this like weird scar going across their cheek.
Yeah, it was the German officers.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
That's why you see so many of the people who worked for NASA after the end of World War II have all of these crazy scars. There's a famous photo of JFK, and someone else believes in that photo, but it's forget which moon mission or space mission it was, but you can see there's two guys in particular that do have those very notable scars, part of Operation Paperclip.
Oh, interesting. And then we have, of course, the Democrat resistance to all this information coming out about the USAID. We have this one breaking. Democrat liar, piece of shit, Rep. Jamie Raskin says that USAID was created by Congress. The truth is it was created by an executive order signed by President John F. Kennedy in 1961. He's 100% lying. And let's go ahead and let's play this.
Elon Musk.
Let's play this one here because he's acting like, well, I'll just let him speak for himself.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people.
And this is the guy, I'm pretty sure, that said that he basically said if Donald Trump wins this last election, that there was going to be violence on January 6th. And he was acting like it was going to come from the right, but it seemed like he was projecting it from the left. This dude is a full-on piece of crap liar.
Right.
And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him. Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that under Article 1 of the Constitution.
What up, Tix Bomber? Hello, everybody. I have arrived. LOL. I totally don't have main character syndrome. Guys, make sure you tell Tix Bomber that you're happy that he's here and all that good stuff. You know, we want to make sure that he feels welcome. What up, Dirty Money? Good to see you here. I heard the swamp was being drained. Yes, sir. It's been a glorious day for MAGA. I caught your stream. I caught about another 15, 20 minutes of your stream this morning. Actually, it wasn't when the stream was live. It was after it was posted as a video, but I did watch a little bit. I do enjoy your content. And dude, you gotta go in the Discord and set it up. If you need help, let me know. But every time you go live, it'll automatically post it in the announcements on the Discord. I know you're already in there and everything. You just got to do this one prompt, and then some of the other folks in the Discord can see what you do and all that type of stuff. Oh, you shout out jar openers today on the on your stream, man. That's awesome, dude. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Got to help each other out.
If you need help setting it up, the YouTube notifications, just shoot me a message on Discord.
Yeah, 100%, man. Love to see you get as much exposure and everything as possible. I have a feeling you're going to be passing my subscriber number here within the next couple months, if it even takes that long, bro. So get ready for some, maybe some money and maybe a little lifestyle change, dude. I'm pumped about your channel, honestly.
Well, no, he shouted us out. His subscriber count's just going to start ticking down.
Oh, shit.
Like, oh, you can't go there.
Yeah. Jar openers, aka based beard bros. That's right. Dirty Money, you got a beard, man. That's the one pre-qualification. You got to have a beard when you come on and join us one of these shows. He's actually going to come on and join. He's just looking at cameras and stuff like that. So I'm just joking about the beard, by the way.
I'm not.
That's awesome. Yeah, man, we got to start just like a jar openers network of channels. It'd be pretty dope, actually. Kind of like what Native Patriot does with his Patriots Prayer Network.
Yeah, exactly. They followed me today, actually. The Patriot Prayer Network did.
Oh, that's cool. What, on X?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I got a Native Patriot, and then one of his co-hosts, a dude with glasses, he followed me. They both followed me like on the same day a little while back. But I don't have anybody else over there. They got a bunch of people. But anyways, let's finish this one from Jamie. Thanks for stopping in there, Layman Shepherd. I see you said you had to roll out. Good to see you in chat here on the show and not just in Discord. Yeah, Dirty Money, the new Daily Wire, but an actual America First version. All right, let's let this rip.
And just like the president who is elected to something cannot impound the money of the people, we don't have a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk. And that's going to become real clear. This illegal, unconstitutional interference with congressional power is threatening lives all over the world. I'm hearing from my constituents who work for USAID and USAID contractors in Maryland, in Washington, all over the world, and they're telling us that this is a killer in terms of their cutoff of HIV and AIDS.
My pocketbooks. I mean, of HIV. Freudian slip.
We have like negative aura, like just negative aura. It's like not
Right.
inspiring whatsoever. Like it makes me think of that meme where the guy's yelling in the corner and the guy gives him like the big thumbs up. He's like, okay, and they go back to talking amongst themselves. It's like, shut up, dude. No one cares.
Full on beta, try hard that, you know, never will get anywhere. Never will make progress for being liked, no matter
Right,
how hard he
exactly.
tries.
Grow a beard.
Yeah, that would help, but then it would just be a disgrace to the bearded ones. I bet he
Right.
probably can't even grow a beard. He's got his full beard in right now.
He's got one of them noses where if he let his nose hairs grow long enough, he could have a mustache.
That's funny. All right. I'm gonna suffer through this for another minute or so.
AIDS preemption. It's a killer in terms of anti-malarial education. It's a killer in terms of all of the efforts to shut down global viruses. Now, I don't know what Elon Musk's intentions are. I don't know what Elon Musk's motivations are. I don't know what his purposes are, but they've got nothing to do with what has been lawfully adopted by the people of the United States of America.
False. First of all, you know exactly what Elon Musk is there to do. And how can you say, I don't know what he's trying to do, I don't know, blah, 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 and then say he's trying to do something? That's called framing. And it's complete bullcrap.
Right.
Adam Price said he went right to the disease fear mongering. Of course, they're going to jump right to it. They have no problem trying to tug at your heartstrings. I mean, these are the same people that produce the starving dog commercials and the cleft lip commercials and stuff like I was mentioning earlier. This is the dude that's like, we want more of this. Go film it.
Well, I can think while I'm watching this is like Ilhan Omar is wearing her head covering, whatever, and it's just like, dude, just get out of America, dude. Go back.
Right.
Get deported, dude. This is America.
For real. That is, yeah, I don't like those things, to be honest with you. I don't. It's oppressing. It's oppressing women, forcing them to not cover their heads. But let's listen to a little bit more. I know we're suffering.
Congress of the United States,
He's
we're going
getting
to
serious.
defend U.S. aid all the way.
He's like, U.S. AIDS. They're like, no, it's just aid. He's like, oh, wait a minute,
Well,
my bad.
I found where I was thinking. You seen Ratatouille?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's been a
He
little
looks
while.
like the guy from Ratatouille, like the waiter guy who's got the massive nose, super New York kind of guy. That's what he looks like.
Takes bomber. That's funny right there. Just me says, I really think it's crazy that we let citizens from other countries hold office in the United States. It just doesn't make any sense. No other country would be stupid enough to allow that. Yeah, exactly. Tom Walsh, monkeypox for life. For life. I love it. It's so funny. Okay, that's enough of him. I'm not going back to that. But then you mentioned Ilhan Omar. Actually, yeah, okay, yeah. You mentioned
Gay
Ilhan
things were said
Omar.
here.
What's that?
Like summary, gay things were said here.
Anti-American, rubbish.
Yeah. Just some scummy neo whatever, dude.
Titan says this sounds so obvious. Yeah, it's the same hole punch cookie cutter approach that they've done for over a decade now, and it's starting to become really easily recognizable. I'm seeing it a lot with the alt media on the left. The Jank Yugers, the old chunky yogurts, and David Pac-Mans and Destinies, and I don't need to list them all, but they like to say that Trump passed his fake electors, and it's all getting old because it's literally regurgitated echo chamber talking points that never change.
Right. Well, imagine just saying you're a populist and you're Cenk Uygur.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, okay, conversation over, guys. Like, don't need to hear anything else this guy's got to say.
I always tell the truth, and I'm a populist.
Yeah. Then he says like everybody in J6 is a violent criminal. It's like, dude,
Right.
I'm supposed to take this guy seriously.
For real.
How do you have a massive chain of?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Exactly. I saw in my video that I put out about an hour ago, it was Bill Maher having a discussion with 80-year-old dinosaur Democrat Trump deranged syndrome James Carville. And they're sitting there going, Bill Maher mentions, like, why is it that we can't even mingle with people that think differently from us? And, we should be able to mingle. And James Carville's like, yeah. And then he proceeds 2 seconds later to call Trump a serial proven in court convicted sexual assaulter that was ruled by a judge and a jury that he was a sexual assaulter. And then Bill Maher proceeds and says, yeah, and people that agree with Trump are just as bad and they're dumb idiots. He's not smart and he's not clever, and these people all follow him. And it's like, yeah, you guys completely missed that whole conversation.
Right.
Who's
supposed
supposed
to goes one way. The
right.
You tolerate this super ridiculous transsexual nonsense. That's what they mean by tolerance. Nothing else even fits the definition.
Yeah, they don't mean have tolerance for somebody that might think that abortion is evil, or just to be a straight white Christian, or something like that. There's no tolerance for that. They just mean conform to my opinions. Why can't we mingle? Why can't you mingle with us?
Right.
It's pathetic, but they're populist. Bill Maher's show is creepy. Yeah, it is, definitely. He's a creep. I don't know this for sure, and I'm not trying to slander him, but the fact that I don't think he's ever been married, I could be wrong, but I know he's not married now. But then he wants to always attack Trump's like sex life and bring up the grab him by the crotch comments and stuff. And I just feel like Bill Maher hangs out in strip clubs all day. Like, I don't know that he does, but I just feel like he's the type of dude that will go and spend $5,000 at a strip club and then go to the after party, or try to bring them all back to his after party. And, he's not married, so he lives like the free life or whatever, And like I said, I don't know this for a fact. That's just kind of the type of dude that he comes off as to me.
Well, I mean, he like openly hates Christianity. He like mocks it any chance he gets. He brought on Jordan Peterson not that long ago for their long sit down, and he just nonstop dogged on it. And then outside, then 30 minutes later, he's like, well, with America and our relationship with Islam, it's like, how are you even going to hold that position when 5 minutes ago you're sitting there saying how dumb you think all the stories in the Bible are? And he also does have a massive nose himself too. Like, we're just dumping on people with big noses today.
Dirty Money says Bill got his high school sweetheart took by Trump is how he acts. Yeah, for real. The Trump derangement syndrome from some of these people, it's just, it's funny.
Yeah, Trump took his girl like 18 years ago, and Bill Maher every second he's like, I'm gonna get him this time, like plotting on it.
And then we got here, you mentioned Ilhan Omar, so we'll play a little clip of her. But Ilhan Omar supports USAID because almost 2.3 billion of the tax dollars were wasted on Somalia. Omar swore allegiance to Somalia over America. She said, I'm here to protect the interests of Somalia from within the United States system, which, to Just Me's point earlier, how are foreign individuals elected like this? You know what I mean? Especially like this. It's so crazy.
Well, it's a no-brainer. Not even that, but dual citizenship. Nope, can't run for office. Immediately disqualified. You want to run for office, renounce your other citizenship. That way you don't have any backup plan. Because this is our homeland. Like, we're heritage Americans. I don't got no backup plan. Like, this is my home country. This is where I'm from.
At least lie to me and tell me that you don't like the other country more.
Yeah, right. At least perform a little bit for it, right?
Well, let's play this here real quick.
We get to decide. We have the power of the purse.
Who's
we
we?
get to decide where money is allocated, and it's the executive's power to make sure that that money gets to where it needs to get.
Well, just so you know, Trump is your boss. He's the top executive. And so if he wants to hire Doge, he can. And, you know, frankly, a third party oversight is good.
Well, somebody
mean-
pointed it out earlier. I mean, this is the famous lady who married her brother to get into the United States in the first place.
Yeah.
How somebody can have a trajectory where they get into U.S. office is beyond me.
Yeah.
waqtigeeda waxay ahayd dowladda Mareykanka.
What?
Waqtigeeda waxay ahayd dowladda Mareykanka waxay ka qabanaysaa wixii annaga aan dhahno dowladda Mareykanka qabo.
I think that should be illegal. If you're a U.S. representative, if you represent us on a government level, every word you speak on mic should be in English so the American people can understand what you're saying.
Kalsoonidaas ayaan isku qabnaa annaga Soomaali haddii aan nahay.
Okay, I'm not going to translate that.
Sounds like I just
reading
walked into
captions,
Walmart.
but I think I played just enough. I've played enough of that.
Oh,
Dirty money.
man.
Oh, heck no. Oh, hell no. For real, dude.
Yeah. Well, that speaks to like how the DNC establishment propagates these people, just dumps money into them. Like that's how they get their candidates in office. They get boatloads of money. They use things like Act Blue. They funnel money from these massive places just to get individuals in there, massive donations. The amount of money that's in politics that goes not only unchecked, but the ones that we do know about doesn't have any kind of auditing to it or adjudication about, you know, is this even kind of moral? The way this money is flowing is insane. But again, I don't see the money aspect changing for quite some time.
Right. Adam Price brings up a good point. They put a horde of Somalians in all in the same Minnesota district. That way she got voted in. You know, it reminds me of how they're sticking all the Haitians in the it's Ohio, right? In Springfield, Ohio.
Yep.
And it's like I wonder who the Haitian, you know, leader representative that they're grooming to be elected is.
I heard if you go down Springfield around a certain time, you'll see a guy swinging a machete doing voodoo on the street. But it's racist. That's racist to be saying out loud.
Dang.
It's bad though. I mean, Ohio's been hit really bad. I can speak personally to this because I ran into an ICE operation yesterday or 2 days ago when I was outside. It's not only just Haitians, it's Somalians, it's Indians, it's Venezuelans, it's Colombians, it's El Salvadorians. I mean, the population change that's happened in the last 4 years since I've been here, and I've only been in Columbus since like 2014. So I've only been here a little over a decade now. It's insane. I mean, like it is insane. I've spoken this on my X profile a bit too, but there's like nowhere you can go where you do not feel like you might have stepped into the airport or something. Like it's an awful feeling. My wife won't even go to the specific Walmarts because it's just, I mean, I'm in Guatemala now. Like I feel dangerous, dude. And then you need help from somebody for something to get it, any kind of assistance. It's like, well, let me pull my phone out so I can translate whatever the heck's coming out of your mouth. It just sucks. And I think people overall hate that feeling. They hate that feeling like an outsider in your own homeland feeling. And ultimately, a lot of people voted on that kind of sentiment.
Right. Abigail Shepard said goes to Walmart feels like a trip to India. Yeah, that's not right. And that's the thing. I hate that folks move to our country and then they make like little Mexico or little, you know, whatever, insert, you know, little Haiti. And it's like, aren't you supposed to assimilate and learn the language instead? Like you rebuild the same culture that you fled from, but here with the benefits of everything that America has to offer coming to you freely.
We'll speak to that a little bit too. Like there's basic things where and many other people who are American, they go to the self-checkout area and they go, oh, okay, like that guy's in line. That guy must be waiting for that one. You kind of like sit there like, oh, you got to gauge. You're like, I'm not going to cut anybody.
Yeah.
So many instances where I'll just like, you see a light turn green at a self-checkout. Some lady who is like last in line cuts everybody up. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, she don't speak the language. She just it's not even appreciating the most basic customs of like how people in a first world civilized
society
behave. Exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, that feels really crappy. You know what I mean? And if you speak up, then you're going to be labeled, you know, and there's always going to be some Democrats in the crowd that say, "Oh, just back off. What are you, racist or something like that?" And it's just like, no, man, I just live in a society and I was waiting here first. Like,
Okay. Right.
but
Well,
you know
you can
how the
see it most
reaction
with
is.
well, you can see it most with driving. The amount of accidents. Springfield, they had a lot of people when what's his name? Taylor Hanson. Think that's the guy's name who did the documentary there where they talked about people's insurance went up hundreds of dollars.
Oh
And like
yeah.
because one of the few things you can discriminate in with insurance is age and area. And they made the area of Springfield an extremely dangerous area to be in. But you just see it just driving. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times where one of the most basic things that's not very simple is what do you do at a left turn when the light's green and people are coming in traffic? Well, you wait for that traffic to come before you make the left turn. So many times I've seen someone go as soon as the light turns green, turning left. And it's that's out of place because you can tell like this person doesn't know what they're doing, driving slow, driving on the wrong side of the road. I mean, how many times have you had those one turn areas where you can only turn out of one side of the road? It's just a
Yeah,
right turn
yeah.
only. People forcing themselves. Now
To
I've seen
go
that
in that
previously,
go the other way. Yeah, yeah. I know what
right?
you're saying.
But seeing just the amount of it happening all the time, it's like I'm in danger every time I just like get in the car to go to anywhere, go to the gym. It's like, dude, I got to keep on the lookout.
Yeah, for real. Abigail Shepard said, "We live in a society." That's one of my favorite George Costanza lines there from Seinfeld, by the way. Just me said, "I wouldn't even care. I would definitely be the one who speaks up. I don't put up with no BS." Donnie Brooks said, "Someone not liking you is better than you not liking yourself for not speaking out." Yeah, that's true, man. When I was a kid, I would beat myself up like for a night. Like if somebody said something to me and I didn't say anything back, I'd spend the next day saying, "Oh man, if I could go back, I would have said this. I should have done that."
Yeah.
Like that is the worst whenever you just kick yourself for not speaking out. That's a good point there, Donnie. I like that. TNT said, "Yeah, I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut." I do too. I remember one time, total side note, but this was right when my wife and I were dating. We maybe were just married, but we went to a Target and I was buying a new like controller for my Xbox or something. I don't know, it was 20 years ago, 21 years ago. And this lady with a whole cart comes from the line next to us. She's standing in that line over right in front of us. And I'm like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? What are you cutting in line for? And she looks at me and goes, "That's my mom." And her mom was in the line in front of me, right? She had a cart herself. So what they did was they each individually went into a separate line, whichever one was going first, then the other one was going to jump in. And I'm just like, hell no, what are you talking about? Well, I got into like this little, back and forth with this lady, but they didn't move. They didn't back down. But my wife was like, shut up. I embarrassed her.
That's funny.
But
I do want
I
to
was
say
just like,
still
"Oh."
on your thank you for the super chat, Titan. Very appreciate that very much.
Oh, I didn't see it. Okay, yeah, definitely. I'll put it on screen here.
Big
I
super
was yet
chat.
to scroll down.
Massive, the biggest.
Abigail Shepard said, "What's Seinfeld?" JK. If you don't know what Seinfeld is, yeah, it might be a little bit grainy, but it's definitely worth a watch. I love that show. I don't care how many times I see it. My wife's like, "I know the words to them all." I'm like, "I don't care. It's still funny."
Really, I can't get into shows like that whatsoever. None of those sitcom shows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I'm watching something, it's gotta be shit. Okay, boomer. If I'm watching something, I need to it's gotta be like a thriller or like a mystery.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just not captivated enough. I'm
Yeah.
weird though.
Yeah. Well, TNT said, "If I lived in Florida, they'd learn." LMAO, dude, it is crazy down here. If you're talking about shopping, most of the people leave their carts spread around the entire parking lot. I had culture shock when I first moved down here from Kansas City. I mean, it was insane. The laziness. Like, people have nice cars and just leaving the shopping cart anywhere in the parking lot should be finable and punishable by at least a year in prison. Like
Well,
Rikers Island.
that's
I
because
hate
you're a good person, right? The
yeah,
cart test, the cart theory.
it is. It's a character test for sure. No, I don't have to, but I should. I'm it's part of belonging to society to make sure that the wind doesn't blow that car into somebody's nice car and cause, damage that, I might not be held responsible for it, but it's just, it's so crazy. I couldn't believe it. I still can't. It drives me insane. And then, these people, they complain about prices, and it's like, well, shit, Walmart has to hire 2 guys to constantly pick up carts out of the parking lot because you guys won't walk 30 steps. It's like,
Right.
just push it 2 or 3 steps and jump up on there and ride it. Most of the parking lots are smooth enough. Just
Even worse than the wind, you go to a busy area and you think there's a parking spot open, and you're like, oh, nice. And as soon as you pull in, you got to back out because there's a cart sitting in the middle of it. And you're like, dude, I'm gonna fight whoever put this cart here, dude.
Right.
Fingerprint this thing, dude, to find you.
Yeah. Dirty Money said Friends and King of Queens for you. It's funny. I never watched King of Queens until about 6 months ago. And then I started watching it when I go to sleep at night, and I'd watch 2 or 3 episodes before I pass out. And I ended up watching like all of them. And I don't know, something about the main character. I can't think of his name. I didn't really like the guy. I think it was Mall Cop made me just not like him. Something like that.
Mall Cop.
Yeah. But actually King of Queens was pretty good. And before that, I watched Everybody Loves Raymond. And I think I like Raymond a little bit more. But those are kind of older sitcoms that I'd never actually gotten into until like this last year.
Yeah, it's boomer grade stuff.
Yeah. Well, new one. I totally. I was watching that. What is it? Something and Mandy Get Married. I'm not a big fan of the Sheldon. What is that one? Big Bang Theory. Bang Theory. And this one is a spinoff of it. But it kind of it like auto played the other day, and so I watched a few episodes. 5 sets of commercials in one episode is ridiculous, bro. It is so ridiculous. Evil Elmo said, "What part of Florida?" I'm in Cape Coral. If close, we can start leaving shopping carts out. I can start leaving shopping carts out. Is Cape Coral on the Gulf side? I'm on the East Coast.
No idea. I've been to Florida multiple times, so I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
Yeah, I'll just say I'm north of Daytona on the East Coast.
Also, big thank you to Donnie for the super chat. Yes, I have watched Cartnark. He's pretty solid.
I haven't
he got into a
it.
fight at a certain point and then stopped doing it for a little while, as far as I understand.
Just me said it's all the stores here: Home Depot, PetSmart. Yeah, every little grocery store, everything. It's a culture shock for sure. When I moved down here, I'm just like, what is this madness?
Yeah, it looks like you saying you need to watch anime.
It's by Fort Myers. Okay. Yeah, I can't do I can't do too much TV, to be honest with you guys. I try to stay busy with the channel, and then I have dogs that I love and like spend time with my wife, and then I got the chickens out there, so my time can really be heck, just today I planned on sitting down and really like filming all day. And I forgot the air conditioning repairman guy was coming out to the house and totally derailed like the middle of my afternoon. I was only able to get one video made. But tomorrow, getting back on it. I'm going to start putting out 2, maybe 3 videos a day if I can. I want to hit 6 figures this year, man. YouTube.
Right. Oh, one thing before we get too far. I should have said this at the very beginning. My daughter did get some of her first treatments today regarding her kidney. We did find out that one of the chambers in her kidney is entirely unsalvageable. Unsure what the next couple of steps will be. We're going to wait till she gets a little bit older. So not the worst news, but also not the best news.
Not the kind of news.
Ask everybody if they wanted to, pray for my daughter. That's one thing I would ask you.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody, please make sure you do that. That's definitely not the type of news that you want to hear. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing that too, as well. Let's see here. Sorry, TNT said I lost my TV in a fire 15 years ago. Never bothered to replace it.
Interesting. You got some steel willpower. I don't watch a lot of TV, but there's still some things I want to want to watch occasionally.
Right. Yeah, there's a couple things I gotta watch. I'm not gonna admit to it though. No, actually, I love watching Big Brother. It's one of my guilty pleasures. I like watching a couple of the Housewives too, but the Housewives of Atlanta always gets me, and then the Beverly Hills ones to watch the Democrats just
Like-
go apeshit on each other.
Like that is military grade boomer stuff. You are like, I cannot withstand any of the stuff you just brought up. Also, thank you everybody for all that. I appreciate it. But
Yeah.
hopefully everything just goes well. We can just hope for the best. But I do appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Tix Bomber says, Real Housewives of Atlanta. We know, Tyler. And then he says, oh my goodness, I said that as a joke and you said it immediately afterwards. Yep.
You're getting
know,
predictable now.
I blame my wife. She got me sucked into it years ago, and we just always watched it ever since. But the Beverly Hills one's funny because they totally like virtue signal and try to cancel each other for like one time somebody said, I don't see color. And then the Asian lady on there was like, you can't tell me that you don't see color and blah, blah, blah. And was just like going off on her. And she's like, damn, I don't look at people the same way you do. But sorry, I got totally off on a tangent talking about other stuff. But military grade boomer stuff is legit.
Yeah. I mean, like there might be more like some of those shows you listed off are more powerful than the stuff they dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Adam said I watch a few Netflix shows. That's my guilty pleasure. Yeah. I mean, it happens. It happens. Oh yeah, but I it's funny as I mentioned that Mandy one to get married, the one that has 5 commercials during it, the whatever Mandy's first marriage or however it goes, right? And it's one of those black pilling things that like once you see it, you know what they're doing. And there's been like 3 or 4 times in the few episodes that I've watched where they pushed like culture rot. And I can't think of the exact like definition or the exact like what she said. But she was like, who wants to stay at home? Like, 'cause she was trying to get a job or something. And she's like, who wants to stay at home with their kids all day? You know what I mean? And it's just like, you see, I told my wife, like, you see that little subtle thing that they did right there, that little bit of programming. And it's just that type of crap. Like once you see it, you can't, like once you're aware of it, you see it every time. And so like,
right.
I was kind of like, I don't know if I really want to continue watching this.
Well, they do that. And I mean, like, not your wife probably hated it too. Or just imagine you're sitting there and your wife's like, you know what? I do hate my kids too. Yeah, who does want to do that? You're like, whoa, like, whoa. But they made that knowing that people would relate to it. They'd be like, yeah, dude, I can't stand being around my children now. Like,
right. Who wants to stay at home and watch their kids all day or something? And it's just like, oh God, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Lots of mothers and fathers.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But over here we have let's see, some of the other people that were, let's see here. I hate working with my maternity leave ends next week and I'm dreading it. Oh, that sucks, Abigail. Yeah. Unfortunately, maybe well, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to say too much.
Hopefully it doesn't have to last that long. We'll see here. Hopefully, because I'm planning by, I'd imagine at least getting 2 months in, as long as I don't get fired for being a bad salesperson, should be making enough where she can go back on maternity leave forever. So that's the goal.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to say too much, but you kind of just did. So maybe this channel or this show in our channels can will blow up this year and we'll
yeah, that too.
Make some changes. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Abigail said, women are sold such a lie about not wanting to be home all day. Yeah, definitely. But there's been 3 instances in these few episodes that I've watched where it's just total like programming straight up, and I'm like, yeah, this is crazy.
Right. And it's so much too. It's like not only just like the anti-family stuff, but it's also the most easy to spot stuff is the super gay stuff. You know, they have it in kid shows, and that's like the giraffe is like, you know what? I do like other girl giraffes. It's like where did that come from?
What?
Yeah, what is it? What is this about right now? Yeah.
Yeah, one of my friends had a rude awakening. He took his sons that was like 5 and maybe like 4 and 6 or something like that to one of the Disney movies a couple years ago. And he's like, bro, I had to walk out of this. I had to take my kids out of the theater. It's like, dude, we told you. You can't trust any of this new Disney crap. It was a couple years, like I said, it was like a couple years ago. I can't remember what it was, but he was like, dude, it's got my son walking around saying he's gay now and stuff or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, dude. And so you got to deal with you.
Yeah. When they make gay cool, it's over. It's over.
But this one says Chuck Schumer with the best news of the day. Let's hear Chuck Schumer's best news of the day. You know, after this one, we're going to move on to some of Trump's tariffs and stuff like that.
We also know this is just the beginning. If Doge attacks USAID today, then you can be sure they'll move on to another target tomorrow.
Oh.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Postal Service or the IRS or even the Social Security Administration. They could be next. Or maybe our national security agency. We also know this.
Sounds like a nice little checklist. I mean, thanks for thanks for that.
Right.
That's exactly what we voted for right here. It says this is just the beginning. Then he said he suggests the IRS and intelligence agencies may be next. Well, yes, Chuck, that's exactly what we voted for. 100%. Like, thanks for the suggestion. Hopefully your self-fulfilling prophecy comes true this time.
And set the precedent too. Set the precedent that we're going to audit USAID, then we're going to audit the IRS, then we're going to audit the Fed. Set the precedent. You know what would be hilarious is if we don't even audit it from a government department, but that this private federal entity that is the Fed gets audited by another private company like Doge, like a private company, like they get to be the ones who do it, and it's like, yeah, government ain't stepping in. This private company we hired, Doge, is going to take care of the Fed for us.
Yep,
that would be awesome.
That would be. Evil Elmo said, "Is he trying to sell me on Trump? I already like Trump. He doesn't have to sell it to me."
Yeah, right, exactly.
Abigail said, "The fact that our tax dollars pay for condoms in Gaza is so infuriating." Yeah, exactly. They tried to.
What, $5 million just for condoms in Gaza?
I think it was like, was it 5 million? I thought it was like 80 million, but regardless, it's too many millions.
Insane. Like, they really don't want those people to exist.
I mean, next thing you know, they're going to start funding Planned Parenthoods all along the West Bank.
Yeah. We're finally going to see USAID go out to the Gaza and the West Bank, and it's to put up Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. That would be fitting.
Yeah, for real. It fits their scenario, their nation building scenario. So, anyways, today's been a big day for Trump's tariffs. He announced, I think Friday, that his tariffs against Canada or on Canada and Mexico were going to go into effect on Monday, which was today, of course. And by this morning, the president of Mexico was had announced that she was going to put 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border to help prevent from, human trafficking and the bringing in of fentanyl into our country. And so Trump agreed to put a 30-day hold on those tariffs. And then, which I just read headlines on this, but I believe just a few hours later, Canada is doing the same exact thing. 10,000 troops on their border, vetting individuals and preventing fentanyl into the country. So Trump's tariffs are delivering for the American people in one way or the other. And I've seen, and I reposted this. Let me actually go to my profile here. I saw this map. Oh, by the way, make sure you guys are sharing, liking, subscribing, all that good stuff as well. I don't think we made any of our calls at the beginning. We just kind of got right into it. Also, we got a Discord if you guys want to join that. We'd love to see everybody over there and engage in some conversation.
Yeah. Can help us fight a fury.
Yeah. We've been calling him out the last few shows for not watching, and then he did pop in today. So he already announced that he was leaving, but hey, at least he showed up. He's plugging into the community, I guess. But this was from Sadie. She says, when Canada talks about cutting off oil to America, let me break this down for you. Below is a map of the pipelines that carry energy from Canada. As you can see, many come into America. The one you need to pay attention to is the Energy East line. And that's this let me put it on the screen here.
I was getting ready to say it.
Let me show you guys this.
Just get ready to say it.
Let me see. Is this one better? No, let's do this one. But that's this dotted line right here. It goes all the way from their east coast. Literally looks like it spans pretty much, I don't know, 4/5 of the country, maybe a little less than that. And the big part about that is, excuse me, this was the Energy East line. This was supposed to be built, but Canada's leftists canceled it because of climate issues. Okay, so that one actually doesn't exist. And then she mentions, as you can see, the only way for the western part of Canada to get oil to the eastern part of Canada is to send it through America. Trump knows exactly what he's doing. So without this one right here, can I make that any bigger? Let me see. I want you guys to be able to see this a little bit bigger. But it's supposed to go from here all the way across, right? But instead, everything from that point drops south into the United States, either via this red line or this green line or some other ones as well. Then it goes back north to the eastern side of Canada, right? So just Canada sending oil from their west coast to the east coast is going to come through the United States. It was a huge move by Trump. And it's just, Trump winning, right? This is MAGA winning. This is us being delivered on Trump's promises. Let me make that smaller again. Okay. So I thought that was an interesting thing to show. But then let's just kind of dig through some of the stuff we have. Excuse me. Starting today and until U.S. tariffs are removed, Ontario is banning American companies from provincial contracts. Every year, the Ontario government and its agencies spend $30 billion on procurement alongside our $200 billion plan to build Ontario. U.S.-based businesses will now lose out on tens of billions of dollars in new revenues. They only have President Trump to blame. We're going one step further. We'll be ripping up the province's contract with Starlink. Ontario won't do business with people hell-bent on destroying our economy. I'm sorry. Canada didn't start this fight with the U.S. You better believe we're ready to win it. You know what he's talking about? But so Canada is basically canceling Starlink because they're trying to lash back at Elon Musk and Donald Trump. So then we have which brings me to this next part right here, where they're not going to have the resources and the systems to replace Starlink until 2027. So good job. A way to serve your country and its citizens. The tariff, Canada is canceling Starlink contract in retaliation for tariffs. Its own replacement system won't be active until 2027 or later. Meanwhile, guess who Canada hired to launch its satellites? Yeah, SpaceX. Right. So they're going to hire Elon Musk to launch their satellites. And, it's funny because when I was reading that, I hadn't read the end yet. I was like, how's it going to take till 2027 when they don't even have a what's it called? A place to launch missiles from. A launch pad. Thank you. It's like they don't have the rocket technology that SpaceX has. It's just so crazy. So Canada's Telestat Lightspeed Satellite Internet project involves a collaboration between Telestat and MDA Space. MDA Space, a Canadian space technology company, has been contracted to manufacture 198 satellites for the constellation. The deployment of these satellites into low Earth orbit is planned to commence in 2026, utilizing SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets. Telestat has secured 14 launches with SpaceX, each capable of carrying up to 18 satellites, aiming to achieve global service coverage by 2027. Now, the funny thing about that is every single one of these satellites that they want to launch are going to have to come across the U.S. border to hit a SpaceX launch pad. So guess what? They're going to get tariffed.
What's crazy is
so stupid.
Well, where was this energy? Where was it at all when Trudeau is nonstop destroying our country from the inside out? But all of a sudden, you're going to like act tough towards America when we decide that we're not going to put up with your BS anymore. And then imagine you have this public viral moment here. You rip up the contract with Starlink, and you're probably going to lose whatever offer or discount you might have gotten with that, just for your prime minister of your entire country to back down like 6 hours later and say, actually, yeah, we're going to give Trump everything Trump wants. And the best thing about this, too, is these aren't like capitulating to the demands, so the tariffs are off the table. As far as I understand, in Canada's case, this only pauses the tariff for 30 days. So this is like still Trump doing the big ask. Like there's more that we want from Canada before we're going to fully not place these tariffs in place. It's like, yeah, you bought yourself 30 days, but here's what else we need you to start doing. And that's amazing because
we have
neither of these countries have any willpower leverage.
Yeah, we can move the goalposts. We can get one thing at a time and continue to move the goalposts. And it's Abigail Shep. Well, it's first of all, it's to Chadwick Puffington's point. 80% of the Canadian population lives within 100 miles of the U.S. border. They are solely reliant on our economy. And so, yeah, that's a big portion, right? And then Abigail Shepard said this may be a dumb question, but what do we really import from Canada besides oil? Which House Leontardo answered maple syrup. That's it. And they build a lot of our trucks, TNT said, but I thought that was hilarious. Maple syrup was a great answer. So then the U.S. anthem gets booed at a Raptors game. I've never seen this before. We'll play a little bit of this. Oops, I muted the audio.
This is the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, that's loud. Yeah, Toronto Raptors, Canadian basketball team.
Kyra Daniel.
Oh. We get no respect. I'm not going to play much more because of the it's probably Toronto Raptors broadcast or something like that. But I mean, let your hatred flow, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, like I said earlier, like where's the energy for anything else? It's all talk, all bark, no bite.
Yeah, for sure. Typical basketball player activities. Well, just the Canadian fans. I mean, no wonder why they have such a liberal freaking parliament. I mean, the people are freaking insufferable, apparently. They can't even respect the U.S. national anthem after all the things that we do for them and how reliant they are for us. But JD Vance posted this earlier. Mexico sends tons of fentanyl into our country. Canada has seen a massive increase in fentanyl trafficking across its border. There are 3 ways of stopping this. The first is ask nicely, which we've done, and it's gone nowhere. Now we're on to the consequences phase. He followed that up and said, follow me. The sob story about Canada is our best friend. I love Canada and have many Canadian friends, but it is the government meeting their NATO target for military spending. Oh, but is the government meeting their NATO target? Can't speak. Is the government meeting their NATO target for military spending? Are they stopping the flow of drugs into our country? I'm sick of being taken advantage of. And then Hodge Twins posted, Canada and Mexico are in the FO phase of FAFO. That's hilarious. John Rocker, who follows me, that follows me right there, said, I'm in support. We don't live in a world where asking nicely provides results. No, I mean, it does kind of within the United States sometimes, but the world, they laugh. You know what I mean? The world understands money, and a lot of it understands violence. You know, that's why Trump, when in his first term, he threatened to nuke Moscow and Beijing or whatever when it came to when he first talked to those two leaders. Basically, that's the language that they speak, right? So he spoke to them in a tongue that they can understand. Remember when he busted out the picture of the ISIS leader's home and just said, if you harm a hair on any of our Americans' head, and then here's a picture of your home. I mean, speaking the language that they understand. So
this is what happens to a population when you get universal health care. You become entitled at the core.
And you become dependent and needy on it. You know what I mean? It's like it turns into this vicious cycle. TNT said, when I was a kid, Canada was known as the nicest population anywhere in the world, and now they're just assholes. I don't disagree with that.
I don't even know any Canadians personally, but to be honest, I don't even want to.
The ones that I know of are like famous people, but I don't know any like personally, to be honest with you. I know Tom McDonald is from Canada, but he's an American. He's more American in America first than a lot of the Americans that were born here. But we have this right here. Breaking: the Canadian dollar plummets to the lowest level against United States dollar since 2003. And it looks like $1 US would equal $1.47 in Canadian, which that's pretty significant.
Yeah, I believe like even just 5 years ago, it was like 1.26, something like that. So that's a pretty large percentage increase. Same thing happened with the peso. The peso, I think, got hit even worse.
Yeah. And this is Clown World says Trump knows exactly what he's doing. Gunther Eagleman says Canada already lost day one. We didn't even get past noon of Trump's tariffs, and they already lost. Well, I'm not tired of. Oops, excuse me, Canada. I'm not tired of the winning. I'm ready for more and more of this. And then just in, Mexican peso and Canadian dollar crash following U.S. President Trump's new tariffs. They did it kind of reverse here. One Mexican peso equals 0.4. Well, dollars. It equals 4 cents. 4.5 cents is what one peso equals to the United States dollar. And then the Canadian dollar is 68 cents on the US dollar. So,
like, man, your dollars really suck, dude.
Right. Devaluing their money is a huge way to affect the people, and the people will send the message upward in the next election. So,
what's funny because Dirty Money said all they have is Jordan Peterson, not even more. Jordan Peterson and Michaela Peterson, the whole family moved to the United States earlier this year, or would it be last year?
Yeah, Viva Frey moved to Florida a little bit ago, a couple years ago.
Yeah, they went out. They went away from this weirdo prime minister, which is crazy because like he announced his resignation like how long ago now? Like how much longer does he have in power?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I know that they have like a campaign going on, and that one dude we played a video of that seems kind of based. That's running against. He's running for like the. I don't know what they're. Is it the Republican Party? I don't even think they have like Republicans. I don't know what it is. Need a house to break that down for me. He's my thesaurus. You only have to be 19 to drink in Canada. Well, at least they got that going for them.
That's something.
Till March. Okay, till March. Thank you, TNT.
Too long.
Yeah, about too long. So then we got Trump on Canada. Okay, let's see here. Reporter, what does Canada and Mexico need for you to do for you to lift the tariffs? And we'll just let Trump speak for himself here.
President, what does Canada and Mexico need to do for you to lift the tariffs? What are specifically you want? That have to balance out their trade, number one. Then we've got to stop people from pouring into our country, and we've stopped it. They haven't stopped it. We've stopped it. We have to stop people from pouring in, and we have to stop fentanyl, and that includes China. Fentanyl has killed this year at least 200,000 people. It's pouring in from China through Mexico and Canada, and they've got to stop it. And if they don't stop it, the tariffs are going to get worse, a lot worse. Mr. President, I'm going to the border.
And so, just in case you guys couldn't understand him, I'll read a little bit of that. Trump, they have to balance out their trade. They've got to stop people from pouring into our country, and we've stopped it. They haven't stopped it. We've stopped it, and we have to stop fentanyl. Fentanyl has killed at least 200,000 people this year.
And so Mexico and Canada both announced in unison because they met together, and they announced that they were going to put 25% tariffs as a response to this. And then Trump immediately was like, we'll raise it to 50 then.
Yeah, that's what this post says right here. Yesterday, Trump said, if Canada retaliates to our 25% tariffs, we will double them.
Good.
Yeah. Play stupid games. We're going to win. I like this. Stanley. Let's see here.
We do have Justin Trudeau's response. This is before he ultimately caved.
Okay. Is it? Oh, this is
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell. Bitch McConnell.
He's awful, man.
What about tariffs against our allies?
It will drive the cost of everything.
I mean, he looks Botoxed out the wazoo. Good Lord.
They started the funeral process early for him.
He's being embalmed prematurely. I had to pause that and talk because 60 Minutes is certainly going to try to copyright us.
No. In other words, it'll be paid for by American consumers.
Beep, boop, beep, beep. Freeze.
Just the way this is edited, I doubt that he was like conscious while they were saying this. Like they're not editing even like in the same room.
They're Weekend at Bernie's
in the wall.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, why would you want to get in a fight with your allies over this?
It's always got to be extreme. It's not a fight. It's a negotiation. It's terms. Look, we as the United States have fit the bill for every single country for years. We pay the most into NATO. We pay the most into everything. And ain't one red cent come back from Canada, come back from, Ben Shapiro's favorite country, come back from Ukraine to securing my southern border. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, imagine just saying the ally thing over and over again when it's like, where?
It's not starting a fight. It's just stopping the waste. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just like, just for most basic sense, like what have they done to earn their alliance with us? Like you remember that time when I donated millions to help with Hurricane Helene? No, I don't. You remember that time? Like, no. Like, when have they done anything to earn outside of the fact that it's a geographical alliance? And it's like, if we really didn't have it, we'd probably just dominate you guys in another form and absorb you some other way. It's only an alliance to like make sure America stays at 50 states. There's a lot of other things that have to quantify for being an alliance. And one of the big things that JD Vance was pointing out too was when it comes to the military levels as well. Even if we were very pulled back, there's different levels of alliance. You pull it back to just a defensive alliance, right? He's pointing out like, where's their military spending then? Like, even if we're the most basic definition of a alliance, which would be militarily and defensively, that they would protect us, vice versa, if a common enemy were to do something. It goes without saying, why aren't they putting in nearly as much as they should be based on their population level and GDP into NATO as we are?
Right. That's what Trump was, big on in his first term, was everybody paying their fair share. And he was responsible for a lot of countries upping the amount that they did pay into NATO. But at this point, It's just not enough. And it's like you said, you know, what constitutes an alliance? It's I'm good for you, you're good for me. But where's the return on that when it's always so one-sided? Everything, money's flowing one direction, the supplies are flowing one direction, and then we face resistance from assholes like this dude whenever we start demanding something. It's like, bro, you've become so entitled to my shit that now you're gonna like throw your little hissy fit. Same with Gavin Newsom in California. It's just like, dude, these people are so off base.
Right.
Let's see here. Let's go ahead and we'll play this. This was before he caved, like you mentioned, Trudeau's response.
Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by...
I thought the Democrats hated tariffs, but yet here he is. He's trying to threaten his own, right? I mean, just proves that tariffs actually work.
Further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives. Like the American tariffs, our response will also be far-reaching and include everyday items such as American beer, wine, and bourbon, fruits and fruit juices, including orange juice, along with vegetables, perfume, clothing, and shoes. It'll include major consumer products like household appliances, furniture, and sports equipment, and materials like lumber and plastics, along with much, much more. And as part of our response, we are considering, with the provinces and territories, several non-tariff measures, including some relating to critical minerals, energy, procurement, and other partnerships. We will stand strong for Canada. We will stand strong to ensure our countries continue to be the best neighbors in the world.
He's got that vampire feeling, dude.
He
I don't
really
know how he
does.
does out in sunlight.
He's got that Castro dark energy.
You have to invite him into your home or he can't come in.
I think this is the picture that oh wait, dang it. I thought I copied the one. Where did it go? It's down here. Dang it. I had it. Here, let me do this.
I mean, regardless, though, what's the timestamp on that video? Like 24 hours? That lasted, 24 hours.
Oh, I can't find it here on this one. It was on the other. It was on Chrome. I couldn't just pull it over from Chrome. I had to load it up on Brave. Sorry, I tried. But it is funny. It looks like he's got a wedgie. But this timestamp on this is February 2nd, 4:30 p.m.
to the U.S. Trade Act.
So less than 24 hours later, he caved.
Please don't hurt me.
I mean, how would you like if Trump caved on something like that within 24 hours after making a bold statement and just like, no, actually, okay, we lose.
Right. Right. Well, especially for somebody who has like 2 months left. Like, it's just like, who cares?
Right.
Like, just go on vacation or something. You already like fail your country on a daily basis. Just like, don't even show up.
Yeah, just me. It looks like he's stepping down in March, TNT said. So he's sticking around for another couple months. Give him a swirly. He decided to stay until an election happened. Okay, thanks, TNT. But yeah, what a chump.
The Mexican lady doing it as well. What's her name? Scheinbaum. She also caved at the same time. They probably got together and realized, like, even if they joined forces on some kind of trade warfare, just wasn't going to work.
Right. And this was President Trump's words. He posted this on the Truth Social. I just spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. It was a very friendly conversation wherein she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 soldiers, Mexican soldiers, on the border separating Mexico and the United States. These soldiers will be specifically designated to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our country. We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for a 1-month period, during which we will have negotiations headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, and high-level representatives of Mexico. I look forward to participating in those negotiations with President Sheinbaum as we attempt to achieve a deal between our two countries. Donald Trump's Truth Social post at 10:41 a.m. This morning. And then, oh goodness, told you, I'm not even going to play that.
You're gay. That's the first thing that's going to come out. Like,
and then we got this one. It's breaking. The Mexican president has announced that it will deploy nearly 10,000 troops to the U.S. border to help combat drug trafficking. And in response, Trump has agreed to pause the tariffs in Mexico. No, he didn't say nearly 10,000. He said 10,000. Not one shy of 10,000, lady. Okay, that was just a breaking sound.
Yep.
Okay. No actual video. And then we got breaking. U.S. Air Force intelligence aircraft had entered Mexican airspace after Mexico agreed to cooperate in fighting the cartels. This is practically unheard of. Pete Hegseth sent a warning to the cartels saying all options are on the table. President Trump demanded 100% operational control of the border, and Hegseth is delivering. I mean, just wins all day long. MAGA is winning. And these are all, all these decisions are going to potentially, with the tariffs, if these tariffs go well, that might be the first step in literally abolishing the IRS, right? The federal income taxes. And
federal income tax, federal property tax, a lot of these things have been floated out.
Yeah.
I'd love to see all those gone.
Right. Who is they though? That's funny.
Well, speaking of that too, have you seen all of the protests of people, Viva Mexico?
Dude, burning American flags.
Yeah. Right. It's like, why do you want to be here? It's like, it's clear that we disagree. We want American culture. You want Mexican culture, wherever else you're from. If you want it so bad, go back to the place you just left. Why are you here? Right. And I got it from, local friends. Well, they're not my friends, just people I have on Facebook, shouldn't have on Facebook. Affiliated people. I don't even know what you call them. Anyways, they are posting like, ICE was spotted here, guys. Like, make sure you avoid this. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm about to go drive over to ICE and be like, hey, dude, come meet me over here. like, get over here, man.
Dude, I saw that too on Reddit. The one from my town was like, if you spot ICE, you need to lend your whiteness to helping protect these people from being deported. And it was one of the most racist, like, posts that I've seen, like virtue signaling posts that I've seen in a long time. It's like, you really think you're actually doing good or helping out, when the reality is, like, you're basically helping commit sedition. You're committing sedition against your own government and your own people by preventing ICE from doing their job. And
that one lady put like the EMAG lock on her school door. She's like a teacher.
Yeah.
They put like that massive lock on her door. It's like, dude, you should go to prison.
I saw that. And I've also heard stories like the hypocrisy. The teachers won't arm up to protect the students, but they're willing to arm up to protect against ICE. You know what I mean? It's just like, the hypocrisy knows no bounds with these crazy lefties. I mean, tell me you're in a cult without saying I'm in a cult. Just look at any of these people on the left burning American flags. I saw one earlier that these people were blocking traffic, and they were singing Achy Breaky Heart in Spanish, dancing in the crosswalks of the intersections, like line dancing. And not one person was speaking English. And it's just like, this is not the American culture that you're supposed to assimilate to. Like, I don't understand what is going on here. Like, burn the American flag and wave the Mexican flag and these other flags over it. It's like, you guys have a home, just go back to it. But I understand our incentives that, you get, the benefits that you get for being in America from the government that you don't contribute to. You have not put in on this, man. astronomical inside of the United States. So it's something that we said on the channel before, or on the show before, that, you know, Trump needs to cut off federal funding to all these states with sanctuary cities. Really put the pressure on these people, on the citizens, to stop lending their whiteness and you know, white knighting for these people.
Lending their whiteness.
Yeah, it's what they're doing. Use your whiteness to protect, you know, our black and brown, you know, guests into our country, or however they want to word it, you know, the migrants and stuff. And it's just like, that is not how this is supposed to go.
If it were up to me, the punishment would fit the crime. Said, oh wow, that's crazy. You prevented ICE from getting into your classroom. Oh wow, looks like you're not an American citizen anymore. You're getting deported too. Like I'd be like, oh, there goes your passport, lighting on fire. Like you're gone. Like get out, dude.
Like these people aren't scared. They're on camera, going out here in public, showing their ass, burning our flag. Like, who emboldened these people to this phase? Like, how did it get like this? Like, I'm telling you, if I were to go into any other country, even Canada, I'm not going to start burning Canadian flags and showing my ass, acting like I'm some entitled jerk. Like, I would be afraid to. I'd be afraid of the locals. I'd be afraid of the government. I'd be, you know, if I really wanted to stay there, I'd be afraid of being sent home or thrown in jail.
It's what's like the culturally acceptable stuff. Like we had talked about earlier, that military grade boomer stuff. It's like that propagandizing of what is acceptable in this kind of subconscious insemination of these ideas. We see it even in the Grammys, right? I saw a clip, don't know what kind of ridiculous, I don't even know who it was, but she was like, DEI is not bad. DEI is a gift. And everyone's out there, like you have Billie Eilish, like, oh my God, that's the most, it's disgusting. It's like, I'd go to the Grammys and just be like, everyone, the entire audience, your citizenship has been burned. Like, get out. ICE will be here in 10 minutes.
Yeah, who was it that did that? Was it Alicia Keys?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of which, Beyonce won Country Artist of the Year.
Yeah, make that make sense.
I mean, you know, the woke lit, they love to talk about cultural appropriation and things like that, but you know, it is what it is. Thanks, Dirty Money. Yeah, you have manners, respect, and pride for yourself. These folks, they're willing to, you know, pillage their neighboring country, and we're trying to reward them for it. And it's just it's freaking clown world, man. But Justin Trudeau. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, in regards to Beyonce, I saw a hilarious post, but it basically was as simple as, and I don't know if you saw her appearance there at all, but she's got the very, like, she, for one, might have just been the lighting, but she looked very light skinned. But secondly, she had like a very platinum blonde straight wig on as well. Weave, whatever you call it, don't really know. And the comment was just basically like, imagine complaining about cultural appropriation and whiteness when you look like this. And it's like, yeah, like all of these very, very prototypical white European features that you're adopting, while at the same time being like, I hate white people. And it's like sending mixed signals here. You say you hate white people, but you're doing everything in your power to look like one, be like one, and then win awards in a genre that's been predominantly dominated by them. It's like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, the same woke, you know, individuals that will condemn Tom McDonald for being a white rapper with braids and long hair for cultural appropriation will applaud when, you know, Beyonce wins a country album, you know what I mean, or country Grammy or whatever it was. And it's just, they don't really have the true principles in mind. They just try to use any type of fodder to bring down their opponents, you know, who they deem as their opponent. It's not even somebody that's really like opposed to them.
Well, it's also like this idea that like history didn't start, like history starts, forgive me, like history starts with like slavery. It's like nothing ever existed before then. It's like, have you heard of Vikings? Like you think braids were just like very, like all that kind of stuff that goes along with it. And it's like, it follows that comment you see all the time. It's like, we was Kangs. It's like everything seemingly is like, oh, no, actually black people invented this. No, actually, and it's like this revision of history when it's like, it's way more complex and way more deeper than that.
Mhm.
But again, it's based on just like the last 50 years. And so because white people in the last 50 years generally don't wear braids, if one decides to, it's like, wow, you might like, wow, do you want to be black? You get it from like both sides, right? White people be like, wow, are you trying to be black? And then black people are like, wow, like what you're doing this is racist. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. And it's just insane. And it goes back to even one of the most basic ideas of just like, who cares?
Right.
Like
It's
who
not a
literally
principled
cares?
position. It's just, yeah, it's just a cultural attack. It's crazy, man. It's pretty shameful, honestly. I
I
grew up in
do
the
not love
phase,
country music.
I grew
Take that down.
I grew up in the phase where, post Martin Luther King, where we judge people off the content of their character, and and that's just it. We're all like, my dad told me to put myself in other people's shoes, and you know, that's just part of Western civilization and polite society or whatever. And it's something that the greatness of America has gotten us so comfortable that we're able to focus on stupid things like this, and still survive and not have to worry about where your food's coming from and everything like that.
Right.
But
Yeah, well, yeah, Steve nailed it. The comment this wrote in there. The only things white people complain virtually are bad things. This idea
right,
that like colonization is like bad. Like, yeah, did you see how the Aztecs were living? Yeah, yeah. Give me a break, dude. Like, good
mhm,
thing we stopped what they were doing over there.
yeah,
Plus,
100%.
too, it's this failure of understanding. It's like trying to apply modern culture and customs and sensibilities to like 1,000 years ago. It's like, well, I hate to break it to you, 1,000 years ago, like they didn't even have air conditioning. Like people killed each other for looking at them wrong.
Right.
It's like it was a whole entirely different world. And sometimes I even sit here and think, I'm like, dude, I kind of wish like we would just be like that nowadays. Can you imagine if dueling was like legal in all 50 states? Two men just decide, you know what? Like we notify a police officer, we're dueling here at this time, just shoot each other in the street. Whoever wins gets to walk away.
Yep.
People would be so less
Draw.
inclined. Yeah, draw. But people would be so less inclined to be like, what's the right word? A well-armed society is a polite society, but it would fall into that as well too. Like people would be so much less inclined to be vile keyboard warriors who believe in things that are only acceptable in like the far reaches of Reddit, that it would have such a strong measure. But people see that stuff and they're like, oh, it's so violent, and everything falls to the emotional appeal when it just shouldn't. I wish we would go back to much more natural law and
Mhm.
order. Not to say like people just deserve to get hit, but dude, there are some people who like if they got hit a few times, like we'd probably be in a better spot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Bullying has had its place in society from time to time. Pressure from your peers, we'll say it like that. Pressure from your peers has prevented people from doing some pretty jacked up things, I think, safe to say, in over history. And it's we if things were a little bit more tough, we wouldn't have people like Vindman at the top of our military. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, just look at the guy.
Grandma,
And like I
grandpa.
could fight that guy. How is he leading the military? Like he could have all the military training. He could be in the military for 5 years. I could
Right.
walk out of my house tomorrow and win in a duel.
I would
It's just like
I would whip that dude's backside. Like, I'll take that. I mean, I'm talking about somebody who's wrestled his whole life, been an athlete. I'll take him down, put him in position, and the dude would have to say whatever I wanted him to say for me to let him go. You know
yeah,
what I
right.
mean?
Well, you know what's funny with that? While we're on that topic, what's insane is what you've seen. I've seen a lot of. You've probably seen this too. A lot of these viral posts where it'll draw some kind of characterized cartoon, maybe superhero, something of like a person like hitting, like they're like punching Donald Trump, or they're making this person out to be a Nazi and they're punching them. And it's like it's sad when your only retaliation in like a losing effort is to fantasize and make these dramatizations of like you inflicting violence on somebody that like you in the physical realm have no business even attempting. It's just
Right.
like it's crazy.
Right. And that's a lefty tactic too, is they know that you can't like react with violence, so they feel safe. And so they poke and prod, and finally they backed America into a corner where our last result was to elect Donald Trump. and they're trying to do it to Putin. And I'm not making excuses or anything like that. I'm not pro Russia, okay, but that's what they're doing with Putin. They're leaving him no escape route other than
You know what? I'm tired of hiding it. I am pro-Russian.
right. You know what? What was it? The one guy, what did you say? Hail Mother Russia.
Yeah, right.
Nobody clips that. Nobody clips that, by the way.
Yeah, well, definitely don't, you know, my heart goes out to you. Don't get caught like Elon.
But they're trying to back him into the corner to where he has no choice but to hit a nuclear button. And they're going to be like, see, we told you he was a threat to the, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy whenever really that could have been resolved in a much, much better way. Small-minded retaliation. Yeah. Let's see here. Surprise. I'm Ruski, bitch. You're making me laugh, by the way. You wrestling or having a way with him? LOL, Jake. Both.
Like that one, what was it? Wasn't it the guy who was on Navy Team Steel 6 who had that public tweet that went viral where he quoted like Harry Sisson and that other weird twink guy, and he was like, in a different time you guys would be my concubines, and people were like, whoa. Whoa, you're going out of bounds, man.
That's funny right there. But Trudeau did respond today at 4:36 p.m. I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I have also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl, and we will be backing it with $200 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. So that sounds pretty costly and expensive. And he weighed that against the cost of feeling the wrath of Trump's tariffs and realized that this was the cheaper option. So,
in other words, Daddy was going to give me a spanking.
For real. Daddy laid it out for me, and I realized the error of my ways. Oh, you know what's funny is I went looking for that picture, and you already had it in the outline. I think that's the one that Dirty Money was talking about earlier.
He's sitting like there's some wooden rod firmly shoved somewhere that it shouldn't be.
But breaking Justin Trudeau caves, it says he will do the following: delay tariffs for 30 days. That's a tall cost for 30 days. And I love it because the next 30 days are going to be glorious.
Right. Well, what I'm hoping is that they start lending us some of them troops on both sides of the border, and these deportation numbers start going up. One thing I was going to say that actually was like a downside to all of this winning that's happened is ICE hasn't posted any deportation numbers in a couple of days. So people have been curious, like, are they low? So they're not, because once a day they've been posting that picture and like giving the update of how many were deported on that day. And so for the last 48 hours, there's like not been any posts. So people were concerned, like, were the numbers so low that they're like waiting to post further out so they can still say we deported 1,000 people today, but adding in the numbers from the previous days. That's one thing I am concerned about the most, is still like this deportation issue and like mass deportations, getting that number to like minimum, because we talked about it on the last couple episodes. I believe you would need 28,000 deported every 4 years, or the next 4 years to
per
even
day,
get to like the 10 million number. Yeah, per day,
right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot. Which is crazy because that's the inflow that we've received over the last 4 years. You know what I mean? That's just to break even.
Right.
So that's the weight that our economy has taken. 28,000 per day or something like that, right? I mean, is that right? That'd be $1 million. It might be 2,800 per day.
Let me pull this up.
28,000 per day. Every 40 days would be 1 million people.
I dare not question House's math. Let me see. Here, I can put my calculator up here.
He needs 6,000 per day for the 10 million under Biden, which I would say it's actually arguably up to 30 million that came in that we need to address.
Yeah. I think that if we're going by the 30 million figure, which we got leaks that it might have been closer to 40 million. I can't remember what official was saying that.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be the one where it's like, 20, make this work, 28,000.
He needs 28,000 for a 40 mil total. Okay, so that's what we based that off of. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you for the help there, you guys, for 4 years. Appreciate it. TNT House.
Yeah. Yeah. But obviously, it'll be a lot easier for them to come in than it will be for us to drag them out. One thing, though, too, and I'm going to fact check myself here as well. I believe under Bill Clinton's presidency that he deported 12 million illegals. And so right now we're still on track that Obama would have deported more people if we don't pick up the pace.
Wow. Because if you guys don't know, Obama is the one that has deported the most people in history under his presidency.
Yeah, but they called him deporter in chief.
Yeah, that's right. So then moving forward to Trump's tariffs on the EU, which I know we're past 9. Are you okay with that? What's your...
I do need to leave soon. I could probably give another like 5-10 minutes.
Okay, so we'll just touch on this and then see how fast this goes. If anything's left, then we'll leave it for the next time or just touch on it real fast or whatever. But this one, Donald Trump says he thinks he can work it out with the UK when asked about tariffs, saying he's getting along very well with Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer? I don't know that guy's name. But it will definitely happen with the European Union because they've really taken advantage of us. And this is a 1-15-second long clip.
Consider taxing the UK, for example?
Well, we're going to see what happens. It'll happen. But we're going to, we'll see how things work out. It might happen with them, but it will definitely happen with the European Union. I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of us. And, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products. They take almost nothing. And we take everything from them, millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see. The UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I'm sure I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity, what they've done. Well, Prime Minister Starmer has been very nice. We've had a couple of meetings. We've had numerous phone calls. We're getting along very well. And we'll see whether or not we can balance out our budget. With the European Union, it's $350 billion deficit. So obviously something's going to take place there.
I did want to fact check. I did get the numbers here. So I think Elmo is the one who pointed this out. So Bill Clinton actually has the highest number overall of what would be considered like a deportation, but 11.4 million fall under returns, which meant that they left the U.S. voluntarily without the formal removal proceedings. So if you get super technical, Bill Clinton has 12, but Obama has 5 actual removals. But it's combined with returns, but it would be more. It's like 5.3 minus like a couple million. So it'd be like around 3. So Obama is the person who's deported the most people.
Okay. So they're counting under Obama, turning people away at the border as deported.
Yeah, same thing. It does. I think all of it falls under that too. It falls under a return. That's what it's considered, but it still is a deportation, like technically, which is just people who are either turned away without a hearing or they left voluntarily.
Crazy. House Tardo mentions under Obama, Chuck Schumer was calling to build a wall, and the Koch brothers, the Koch brother Republicans were for open borders. My, how things have changed.
Right.
So then the EU, they want retaliation. Of course, they're going to try to be bold like Trudeau. Breaking, the European Union warns Donald Trump if he imposes tariffs, it will retaliate. And my guess is within 24 hours of Trump announcing a date on that date, they will change their opinion, just like Trudeau and just like the Mexican president.
Yeah, the EU shares are already dropping. I thought I had a figure earlier, but I guess not.
Imagine you love so much being governed that you want a government for your government.
Right.
And then breaking, shares in European automakers sink as Trump imposes tariffs. What is this a link to? Shares of European automakers sink as Trump imposes tariffs from Insider Paper. Shares in the European automakers fell sharply on Monday after U.S. President Donald Trump said EU goods could be next in line for tariffs after he announced levies on Canada, Mexico, and China. Shares in Volkswagen and Jeep maker Stellantis sank almost 6%, while Mercedes retreated 5%, and BMW and Volvo each shed 4.9%. Auto supplier Forvia dropped 8.8%. So yeah, that's across the board, and it seems to be a direct result of Trump's threats. So you know what? Pressure on them, pressure on big businesses. That's what'll get things done.
Right. And never do it again.
Right. 100%. Let's see here. Everybody talks tough for 24 hours. It seems like they've all folded so far. Yeah. Once the reality hits that Trump's not bluffing, and they start seeing the value of their dollar drop, they start seeing their stock market potentials drop, because that's all based on speculation. They start speculating that they're going to be hit hard. People pull their money out. So what happens over the next month is going to weigh heavily on this, European EU tariffs, as well as tariffs on China and everybody else as well. Where will these negotiations end up over 30 days when it comes to, Trump in Mexico, Trump in Canada? Is Trump going to continue to push the field goal post back and get more and more and more? It would have been better for them to just settle at the front end of it and not be bold, the FA part. Or will they just go ahead and understand that they're not going to win in the beginning and then make the deal? You know what I mean? Because I think Trump's going to make this worse on Canada for not complying from the get-go and trying to be bold. And he's going to be able to say, look, if I'm going to be this strong on my country's, closest allies that border my nation, why would I afford you, any more leeway? You know what I mean? Especially, if you're coming from, China's perspective, or an unfriendly or a lesser friendly country that wants to do trade with us.
Well, now that we're talking about it, the one country we haven't heard a response from yet is China.
Yeah.
They got a lesser tariff than initially, but Trump's reasoning for that was because the other countries are being punished for their role in what's been happening at the border and a few other things. Well, China's purely just economic. But it takes also cities starting to position the U.S. to squash BRICS. Well, that's a position we have to take now because of the Ukrainian conflict as well. Ultimately, everything the previous administration has been doing was leading up to the fact that China and Russia would ultimately be aligned against us, like they would have to be. It's
Iran as well.
Interest in Iran as well. And I think that's still the big major question with Trump's presidency. We're going to see the Ukrainian and Russian conflict wind down. Russia will retain a majority of that land they've taken, if not all of it.
Right.
But what we're going to have to see that will be the pending conflict will be what happens if we continually get these neocons and war hawks and them boys pushing for war with Iran.
Right.
That would be the question then, because if we do that, Russia's going to get involved. And right now, as it sits, as far as a lot of other military intelligence would give it to you, and they'd shoot you straight, is that Russia right now outmatches us on a lot of things when it comes to military. Then you pair that with China getting involved, and even if they don't get involved holistically, they get involved by stretching us thin, by taking attacks and measures against Taiwan. Well, then you look at the best interest for America. It is not in our interest to even attempt to do anything with Iran. Got to pull out almost completely and just avoid that conflict entirely.
Yeah. And, that's a good point, because if Russia does end this conflict in Ukraine, they'll have resources that they could send to Iran or wherever the next proxy might be fought,
Right.
It's definitely something that we need to consider. We need to position and be forth thinking to not be stuck in a position where we're reacting to a proactive move made by the BRICS nations. We need to stay ahead of the game. We need to stay in the power position. And, taking the Panama Canal back from China would be a good step in that. China could cut medicine to America and mess us up. Yeah, evil Elmo, that is something that's true as well. And, we need to become less dependent on China. We need to bring back manufacturing, something that Trump was working on in his first term. And, it was completely derailed when he lost in 2020. Unfortunately, that's probably one of the things that suffered from that loss. But realistically, we're in a better position with Trump now, with JD Vance, than I think we might have been had he won and been the president over the last 4 years. Who knows how this last election would have turned out if Trump wasn't involved. We could be in an even worse position. I don't know. It's all speculation, assuming what Trump would have been able to get done over the last 4 years. But I know that he's in a better position. In that last video, he's looking younger. He's looking healthy. He doesn't age like most presidents do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's interesting. Yeah, we'd be getting rounded up, Tix Bomber. That's for sure.
The point with China is huge, though. Most people don't realize this, but it became a big point of discussion during COVID.
Yeah, more people woke up after 4 years of Biden. Sorry, I cut you off.
Right.
My bad.
No, you good. Was not only just OTC, which is over-the-counter medicine, is made by China, like something like 80%, but also that China has a dominant influence over API, which people don't understand. API is active pharmaceutical ingredient, so it's not even just the actual finished product of the over-the-counter drugs, but they also have a dominant market influence over the ingredients used to make said drugs too. So they have the front end and the back end of it as well.
So what
we
you're
can
saying
handle
is,
like clothes and such, but when it comes to drugs, it's like that's something that's like a very high-end necessity. We don't need to buy cheap Teespring t-shirts from China. We'll figure that out.
right?
But for drugs, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, we'll be all right with food. We'll be all right with clothing and stuff. Ammo manufacturing, probably stuff like that. But when it comes to microchips, as mentioned there about Taiwan, and then our pharmaceuticals, which is crazy because we have like the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world. I mean, isn't that what Pfizer is? Isn't that what Moderna is? Like, are we literally, have we reached idiocracy stage where they're more concerned about making boner pills than they are about making antibiotics? They're just all their all their funding and research has gone completely into Ozempic and all this shit. Basically it's like everything that can be made generic is just gone by the wayside because it's not as profitable. They're not really in the healthcare business. They're in the for-profit, say the new hotness, whatever that I just listed. You know what I mean? Because it's crazy that we have this. Like the pharmaceutical companies in our country probably have some of the biggest buying power of any company when it comes to advertisements and just power overall and influence with lobbyists and things like that in the government levels, and they're not producing anything worth a shit.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, we really almost need Trump to mandate that these companies start manufacturing, prioritizing the manufacture of insulin, basic everyday things that Americans need to survive, all the way down to antibiotics. I mean, it's holy crap. Yeah, that's why Luigi spazzed out. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons, that's for sure. They're more interested in making, like I said, the newest thing that they can patent and charge $600 per pill for. That's what Fauci was doing with the one, I think it was called Remdesivir or something like that, right? Well, there was one that he was really pushing really hard during the pandemic, and it was like $600 a pill or $200 a pill or something super expensive when compared to the alternatives that were, labeled horse paste and things like that. So I mean, it's all about making a buck, and that's comes down to what they can charge the insurance companies, what they can charge Medicaid, what they can, just the whole thing. It's such a messed up system that we really do need some type of, I don't know what you'd even do it. It's not really my job to write a bill or whatever. I don't know how it would be done. That's why we elect people that are smarter than me to figure out our problems for us. But that's an easily identifiable one. And with the power and the money that these companies have to spend, you would think that they would prioritize actual health care rather than just making money. But like I said, we've reached idiocracy state levels. You know what I mean? Like you remember the beginning of that movie, Idiocracy. If you haven't seen it, they talk about how all the companies have just invested all of their research into boner pills and stuff like that. And we've become dependent on, other things. And eventually the biggest companies just buy out the Food and Drug Administration. They buy out all the stuff, and then their product basically becomes every group on the food guide pyramid, and it runs amok. It's actually a microcosm of the world that the Democrats want to lead us down.
I think that's the if you were to apply ignorance, that's kind of the conclusion people get to, is like the idiocracy. I'm more privy to applying malice, which I believe most of this is purposeful.
Well,
I
that's
believe
true.
most of this is consequential to the human population being reduced. A lot of it is almost like these guys are literal merchants of death. Every policy's end result, whether it is transing children, whether it is moving forward with abortion, whether it is ensuring that we don't have manufacturing for drugs, whether it is ensuring that we have experimental medical procedures, whether it is, all these things, the end result is that it harms people on a mass scale and makes people less fertile, makes people less privy to want to be married, have children, and the net result is just less people.
Yep.
And so I just take the position that when you look at the way that all of these governments are operating, and I'll reference Tucker here too. He pointed this out with Piers Morgan. How is it and why is it that all of these leaders that we go and say, man, that's a really corrupt guy, like the leadership's bad, but then you look at their policies and it's like, wait, they all kind of have the same policies. They're all kind of ramping up this ridiculous open border stuff, ramping up this homosexuality, ramping up this abortion, ramping up, and all of it is very parallel to each other.
Vilifying God and Christianity is in the process.
Yeah. Well, you would wish. You would wish. I think that's like the next step ultimately. And I think that's a swing we could see. Do we get maybe 2-3 more years into this with the Trump presidency? I am fearful, though, of getting someone in office who is of a JD Vance. I'm not the biggest fan of JD Vance because I think there's, like, when we talked about this on the show yesterday, and I'm gonna butcher it, but Ordo Amoris, I believe I might be saying it wrong, but the order of love, which is you first and foremost love your family. Like if you're a father, you love your family. And then from your family, it's like your exterior family. And then like your tribe, your community, your kin, then everyone else essentially. But I think, and this is pointed out to me, and I think it's a great example, which is not only when you look at something like the Hillbilly Elegy, where he kind of talks a lot about how much he couldn't stand the people he grew up with, but you look at the person who he married and the culture he's kind of adopted into as well. Well, to me, that speaks on some level, on some kind of subconscious level, that he didn't have a love for his heritage people, that he kind of went elsewhere for it. Now, people can change. Obviously, I'm not saying that they can't. But if I'm to look at the fruits of such, that was the end result. It was he didn't marry inside of his own kind of Christian culture. He only became Catholic I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. When asked about it, he said he didn't want to talk about his faith. There's a lot of things that even with me, as much as JD Vance may be good in terms of the very secular, pragmatic view of conservatism and possibly carrying out the Trump agenda, I still think there's points there to be made where it's still just conservative in today's conservative terms, not conservative in the true right-wing Christian value conservative terms. And that's where I would like to see the changes come from, is getting more and more of the actual Christian institutionalized leadership and value instillment.
Yeah, I would love to see that as well. Steve Splenda said, "Got to run, fellas. Awesome show again. Praying for your daughter, Atlas. May Christ's healing presence and peace be with her and all of yous." We'll see you in the next one on Wednesday, hopefully, Steve. And I appreciate you for being here and all the comments and everything like that as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go back and Dirty Money mentioned in bed with China from years back, and that reminded me. I mean, Joe Biden in his one of the first years, I think it was the first year of his presidency, he was praising China. I mean, it's not that long ago. They were, the Democratic Party, the leader of the Democratic Party was out here praising China, and he's known for saying that we need to do more things like China does. You know what I mean? And I think even Trudeau was kind of on that same path and a mindset as well. So
how do we get child labor back?
Yeah, I know, right? Pretty crazy. But let's see here. It's just there was another one there. Who said it? Oh, where did it go? Yeah, why on earth, Tix Bomber said, why on earth would you be sourcing your drugs? They could wipe out your entire population from your second greatest enemy. I mean, that's common sense answers that question. I get it. It's a rhetorical question, but it's also the truth, like of the reality of what we do. It's pretty crazy. And not only that, China's outwardly said they want to have, world control. They want to role reverse America into China and China into America as far as world power. I think they said by 2030 they have, big aspirations. And so, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I would love to see Trump and his administration maybe once RFK Jr. Is approved, because I think he's going to be approved. We can start taking some steps towards that. You know what I mean? We got to work fast because the midterms are going to be here in year and a half, a little longer than that, and so people are going to get back into campaign mode, and we might lose the majority in the House or the Senate. And if that happens, it's going to derail a lot of things. Trump's going to have to go and start fighting possible impeachments again and all this other type of bullshit. So the clock is ticking. We need him to work fast. Trump has been working fast. He's been delivering. He's not perfect, but man, I'm not going to get tired of celebrating these wins. I mean, the way that Mexico and Canada reacted today, it was, you couldn't have hoped for anything better, really. I was looking forward to seeing how the tariffs were going to weigh out, to be honest with you, but this was even better.
Yeah, we never will.
I can't wait till Trump delivers and Doge delivers, and they cut the fat, we cut the spending, we have our allies start contributing in a fair way. The United States doesn't have to fit the burden of the world's problems as heavily as we have been, and seeing these tariffs work, proving the Democrats wrong that they're saying it's going to jack up inflation and stuff like that. And to the point where Trump can go ahead and abolish the IRS and property taxes. Property taxes is one of the worst things. I hate the concept that you get a 30-year loan, you pay, $600,000 over 30 years or $1 million over 30 years to, on a $200,000 loan. You know what I mean? Because you lose so much money in interest over that amount of time, and then you end up having to pay a third of that every month still, in property taxes or whatever. And it's just like, why don't I
legal
own
criminals?
Why don't I own this? This is insane.
Right.
Tagging our cars. It's just they nickel and dime the shit out of us, and I just can't wait until the government gets smaller. Democrats love to make the government bigger. And with that, they add more jobs, they add more people that need to take out of the pool just to be paid. And I'm looking forward to cutting those 87,000 IRS jobs. You know, if they want to keep their jobs, they can start deporting people. You know what I mean? They can go work for ICE. Otherwise, they can piss off with that with all this stuff. You know what I mean? But with that, I think we'll probably go ahead and call it there. Do you have any other things you want to touch on topics wise?
No, just wanted to say thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate people coming in. The engagement drives this show very, very much so. So thank you for that. We look forward to you guys being here in the future.
Yeah, definitely. House, not house. Evil Elmo mentioned here, my house is paid. Got to fork out every year for property that I already own. Yeah, it's bullshit. Especially for folks that are retired and have, you know, you paid your dues. You know what I mean? But even just anybody, it's too much. It's too much, and American citizens deserve better than what we're getting right now, treatment wise, out of our federal government and even some of the state governments. To be honest with you. A lot of people are victims to living in, you know, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states that don't agree with it, and they fit the burden of that. But with that, I will just remind you guys that we have a Discord link down in the description. Would love to see you guys join and engage in further conversation. You can submit topics. We've been trying to work on getting a Spaces event, some type of regular schedule. We have conversations about marriage, Christianity. We have all kinds of different topics going back and forth. We've had the one going on for the last few days.
You were trying to get a debate going.
We're trying to get a debate going from a couple different people. One person seems to ignore the concept that everybody's in there saying, "Hey, we want to see it," and nobody's actually and one guy's just ignoring it. He's acting like he's got the other guy blocked or something like that. But it's an iron sharpens iron type of Discord. It is not an echo chamber, and you know, it's been generally pretty fun. So I'd love to see you guys click that link and join us over there. Make sure if you're watching on America First TV, which is my channel, you're hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel. And likewise, if you're on Atlas's channel, make sure you're hitting the like button and subscribing over there as well. Atlas is, I believe, like 45 people away, 45 subscribers away from hitting that 1,000 mark. We'd love to see that mark get hit like ASAP. So if you're watching on America First, do us a favor and go over to Atlas's channel. Do you want to put the link in the chat real quick?
Yeah, let me just put it on screen here. Actually, it'd be easier.
Okay, yeah, put it on screen. We can put it I don't have it in there, but it's Atlas Thugged if you want to look it up. Do us a favor, go over there and hit that subscribe button. It's a big milestone hitting 1,000 subs there on YouTube when it comes to their minimum requirements to be monetized and stuff like that. So yeah, Dirty Money asked for the link. Here, let me I can put the link in.
I can possibly, let me see this. I can send it to you maybe in private and you can copy and paste that to yours.
Yeah, I'll just look it up here. And I'll put it, yeah, you're at 957 subs. I'll put the link here in my chat. Go over there, shoot him a sub as well. Many thanks for those of you that do that. And
yes.
You know, I think other than that, I'm good. Christ is King. Appreciate everybody for being here in chat. You guys are you know what make this show so fun. I look forward to the day where chat goes so fast, you know, but that's just goals, right? But
Tix is gonna get banned. I'll go down a subscriber. We don't appreciate that kind of heresy around here.
He totally said he'd shave his beard if he hit 1K. It would grow back overnight anyways, dude. Like,
yeah, you're not wrong. I do appreciate it though, Dirty Money. Thank you very much for subscribing.
Yeah, he said he'll shout you out tomorrow on his show. He's been getting, dude, Dirty Money's been getting thousands, like 40 to 50,000 total views on your lives. It was pretty dope. It's pretty dope, man. I'm proud of you. That's cool, man. I'm looking forward to, like I said before, seeing your success and how far that channel can go, and hopefully it changes your life. But okay, there it is. There. So
yeah, you're banned.
150K. Yeah, that's dope, dude. Good job. That's awesome. So, anyways, Christ is King, y'all. We will see you on Wednesday.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Let's roll, rolling and let's start. We here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas up. We're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar openers podcast, where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas up, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar openers podcast, where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas thugged, fearless in our release. Jar openers podcast, where the lies will decrease.